Good morning. Welcome in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Jocks 94.5. Appreciate you tuning in. We're doing college football playoff rankings shows already, Greg?
Yes. Can confirm.
Are these rankings or seeding shows?
They are seeding shows right now.
Noted.
Oh, like Home and Garden TV, like gardening stuff? That'd be fun.
Yes. College football playoff seeding shows.
Ooh, okay.
The committee gives us rankings, and thus we take them and make them into seedings.
Okay.
Or seedlings.
Got it.
Yes.
Well,
it is actually kind of a nice practice, I will admit. Not because it's something that I would be consuming a lot as a consumer. If I were at home, I'm not like, oh, let me check out the AP rankings in playoff format. But I will admit, it's going to, for those of you that did not watch the playoff show last night, can't believe you missed it, first and foremost. Secondly,
I think you missed it this morning too.
Yeah, and probably all through the night on various platforms. But it will be weird for you the first time you watch one of these rankings reveal shows. Because as someone that was on the show last night, it was weird for me. It's just different. Not bad, not better, not worse, just different. You'll see.
Okay. If you look at right now from ranking show and what teams are definitively in, like what are the most intriguing matchups that come to mind that you think we could possibly get? Maybe we'll be competitive or maybe a bad matchup for the better team.
I'll tell you one that really has my attention already from what we saw last night. Boise State at Penn State.
That's an interesting one.
I'll take Boise.
Wow, to win the game?
Here's the other thing that's weird about it. Like, we have just gone, and I don't know what's going to happen in the Big 12. Do you?
No.
All I know is that I don't feel super confident in the Big 12. Y'all, there's a possibility Boise gets the 4 seed. We have just all of a sudden chalked up, hey, you know what? We know for certain that the Big 12, a Power 4 team, will get that first round bye. I actually don't know that for certain. In the event in which the Big 12's champion has 3 losses, and I know BYU's undefeated, I know that Iowa State's undefeated. I know that right now that feels like a long shot, but that's not out of the realm of possibility. Boise could be a 12-1 team at season's end, with their one loss coming by 7 at the hands of Oregon, who might ultimately be the number 1 overall seed. Like, I'm not saying that it's I think it's still probably because of strength of schedule metric and strength of record. You still probably are going to have an advantage in the Big 12, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that 12 seed that we thought was going to be the G5 is actually the 4. It's a real possibility.
Okay, so is that lack of confidence in Iowa State and or BYU? No. Iowa State, Central Florida, Texas Tech at Kansas, Cincinnati at Utah, Kansas State. There's some tricky games in there.
Totally.
Still coming up for the Cyclones.
And Colorado is always a problem. Like, Colorado can beat most of the teams in the league, I think.
That's fair. Yeah.
I think BYU's really good on defense. I'm still not super sold on their offense.
BYU, Oak State at UCF, at Utah, Kansas State at Arizona State looks like a totally different game now. And then Houston to close it out. Now, those are the 2 undefeated teams in the Big 12. You still would have Texas Tech 5-1. Kansas State 5-1, Arizona State 5-1, and then you said, like you said, Arizona's dangerous, Colorado's dangerous.
Yeah.
So Utah's still going to be a tough game for folks down the stretch, as will Oklahoma State. So,
well, I'm just looking at the AP poll last night, and Boise, I believe, right now is 15 thereabouts. So 15 is not that far from like
Boise
10.
is 15, correct?
So we've just assumed that Boise was going to be the 12 seed. Boise might be the 10 seed. Boise might be the 6 seed. I don't know how it's all going to end up. I mean, but those are all possible. So even if they don't get that 4th seed, because that goes to the Big 12 champ, they might host a home playoff game.
Yeah.
Like, it's possible. It's not likely, but it is possible, especially knowing they really challenged themselves in the non-conference, and they certainly didn't disappoint in that performance.
Where do Army and Navy fall into this?
They're in the mix.
I mean, I know people don't want to buy it and don't want to believe it, but Army's got ECU, Air Force, North Texas, Notre Dame, UTSA, and then Navy. I mean, yeah, Notre Dame's tough for them, but that's accomplishable.
Without question, it is.
Navy has Charlotte, Notre Dame, Rice, South Florida, Tulane, ECU, and Army. So that's, but I mean, we haven't had a real conversation about this. We're staring down the barrel of something pretty amazing. If those two can find a way, even if one of them drops a game, or they both drop a game, it's still going to be pretty wild.
It's gonna be awesome.
What we could be looking at down the road for those two teams. But okay, I like that one. Boise at Penn State. There are a couple of others that I think you put that Boise team up against that it would be really intriguing. Was there another? Like, what would be the matchup Miami doesn't want to see?
Well, I believe as of right now, LSU, Bama, winner of that game. Bama 7. Yeah. So Bama's technically the 8th seed, LSU the 9 seed, even though they're 7 and 8, because the Big 12 champ would jump them to be the 4 seed. So Bama would be the 8 seed, LSU would be the 9 seed, be LSU, Bama. Bama and LSU play in the regular season at Tiger Stadium, and then in the playoff, or at least in this simulation, the LSU would go to Bama in the first round of the playoff. Winner of that would play Miami.
Imagine that. You beat a team at home in the regular season, and you have to go play at their place in the postseason. These are some of the things we haven't talked about or thought about. They're going to be wild about.
I know that the committee's saying that they will not take into account rematches and all that stuff. I don't buy it. Personally, I don't buy it.
I'm with you.
I think they'll tweak things, and if there's a way to adjust a team up or down a seed or two to avoid a rematch that took place in the regular season.
Specifically, if we start seeing some of the, like we talked about with Oregon and Ohio State yesterday, if you were to get Ohio State to lose to Oregon again in the Big Ten championship game, like, you don't think they're going to try to keep Ohio State out of their side of the bracket? Just to say, come on, guys, we don't want to see that third time.
Yeah, it's the right thing to do.
Let's move them over there. And if they both get all the way to the championship game, so be it. Like, then they've proven that they deserve to be there.
Correct.
No, I'm with you. I think that happens.
I think that's what I know they might not say that because it does feel
they're never
going to
say it. But yeah, it's going to happen.
It does feel a little dirty, but I just don't know how. I think it's the right thing to do. I mean, value the regular season.
People are going to argue that because here's the thing, though. People can argue that, and I would understand your argument. But also your argument should be 12 best teams in, and that's not happening. So we've already finagled it. We've already massaged this thing a little bit and said, well, no, we're going to backdoor this here, and we're going to finagle that there, and we're going to find a way to squeak this in over here. So it's not the best 12 teams. So therefore, it's already – I don't want to say slimy because I don't think.
Whoa.
It's not that.
You calling it slime ball?
It's not. I mean,
the playoffs are slimy.
It's really bad. By the way, sounds like Tony's up there working.
There's a slimy operation.
Somebody get Boise in there.
We got to get Boise into Smooth.
Where's Rutgers? I don't think that's what's happening.
Boston College get in here.
Next thing, it's going to be sleazy operation over there. They're running the college football playoff.
I got more information coming out of Pitt right now than anywhere. Get them in. I'm not saying it's that, but I mean, we've already sort of, like you said, moved the goalpost a little bit. So yeah, what's this thing made for?
Yeah.
Television. So
kind of.
Yeah, mostly.
No, it's for fairness.
Correct.
Equality and inclusiveness when it comes to college football playoff because the little guys have never had a chance.
Oh, they took their HR training? Okay.
No, those are the words that get used when being thrown around. Like the little guy never had a chance. Like I don't know if I agree with that, but I can't really push back on it. You know what I mean? Like, Boise would have won 3 national championships if they had access in the BCS.
That would be a fun off-season show to go back and look at the BCS years and what seasons we thought that a Boise would have actually beaten the team that won the BCS championship.
See, but Boise could always win one game.
Back then, that's all you had to do.
Yeah. Kind of had to win against good teams.
Well, yeah, but I'm just, if they were to get in, what BCS champions would they have a great chance to defeat?
Yeah.
The teams that actually won the title. Like 2010 Auburn. Are they stopping Cam? I don't really think so.
Yeah, they'd probably beat that team.
Like a couple of the Bama teams. I don't.
They would never beat them.
Yeah. Tennessee.
In 98?
Early on, yeah. I mean, I think that defense was pretty good, actually.
Before my time.
It'd be fun practice to go back and look at that.
Would be. Boise was legit. They were really good, really well coached, had a lot of pros on their team. I think that's the one thing that gets overlooked is that they had a lot of pros.
Freaking hard nosed too.
Yeah, they were hard as can be. They were chip on the shoulder. Younger brother got beat up his whole life and now has gotten bigger. So he's a big guy with a little guy mindset that just wants to fight everybody. You got to love him for that.
Absolutely. All right. We'll get to your calls this hour. Trent Dilfer coming up next. So after him, if you want to chime in on the show, you'll be able to do that. 800-239-9569. We had some football last night. We'll get to that later this hour. Andy Burcham's with us at 8 a.m. this morning. A lot of college football news that we need to get to, and we'll talk more potential college football playoff matchups later today. Trent Dilfer, though, UAB head coach, with us next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Finally cooling off a little bit outside. 7:14 a.m. Wednesday, October 16th. Felt great coming into work today. And as you know, the deeper we get into football season, changes in the weather are still going to come, even more so. Protect your HVAC system with a checkup from a trained comfort specialist. So when cold weather hits, You'll have peace of mind that you're protected by America's most reliable and trusted HVAC brand. Find a comfort specialist near you at Trane.com. Remember, it's hard to stop a train. He joins us at this time each and every week. It's UAB head football coach Trent Dilfer. Coach, good to have you on. What is sort of the mindset, the attitude, the message for the team this week?
I tried to keep it very simple. Dear football. Dear football, why do I play you? And then blank, and they got to figure it out. Because I've never been around in my football life, and I started this journey when I was 8 on the back of a blocking sled as a ball boy for my dad. I've never in my life seen anything like this where a team practices at the clip that we practice, and we practice. You guys need to come out at some point. We were a machine on Friday. It looked like an NFL Saturday. And then to see the opposite happen on game day. And it's just been habitual. We are not playing to our potential. We're not coaching to our potential. Like something happens from our last day of preparation to the game day that just, we do a 180, and I've racked my brain on what it can be. And so I'm just asking everybody in the building, like, why do you do this? Why do you play football? Because when you understand your why, it's fuel to your passion and energy. It's like a car, right? Like it's gasoline in a car. When you know your why, when you know why you're doing this, it's not hard. It's fun. It's free. It's exciting. And something's happening to us where our why is not being translated to game day.
How do you, I've never really heard of that. 'Cause usually it's like you practice good, you play good.
Yes, that's great. That's been my whole life. You play
always,
how you practice.
like 100%. Yeah. And when you practice poorly, like you play poorly. And I mean, that is like, I've never seen anything that isn't that way. So is it just like a panic? Do they get tight? Do they sense that things start to go wrong and then they shell up? Like if you were to put your finger on the pulse, why do you think that happens?
I mean, it's my job to have my finger on the pulse, and I'm failing at my job because I've tried everything that I know of to allow Saturdays to be free and unlock them. I mean, we've talked about unlocking our potential since day one, and I don't know. I really don't know. I've asked. They can't really articulate it. Our coaches, right before I called in, I was with a coach I really trust, and he was like, "Coach, you're right. Like, I've never seen anything like this. And this coach is coached from high school to junior college to the SEC. And he's just like, it's mind-boggling. Like our Wednesday last week and our Tuesday was good too, but our Wednesday and Friday were unbelievable. And they have been for weeks. Like Tuesday of Tulane was awful. But Wednesday was great. Thursday, Friday were great. Like we cleaned it up. We felt really confident. So I can't figure it out. I'm trying everything. I don't know the answer.
So a different challenge than what you have faced, and it's been a pretty big challenge the last couple of weeks. Arkansas, we've seen what they're capable of. Those Army and Navy offenses, Tulane, we know what they are. Now you get South Florida, who's going to spread you out a little bit more. Tempo is going to be a problem, pushing the ball down the field. Where do you try to go out and take something away first against this offense?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to go backwards a little bit. Like one of my pet peeves in football forever, and I hate it when my coaches did it. I hate it when I watch TV and see coaches do it today. It's like say, "Hey, no excuses," and then they make an excuse. It's like they lead with an excuse with, "Hey, we don't make excuses around here." But I will say there's a reason. We've played teams that are 24-5 up to this point, and they've been playing their best football. Like they've been hot and primed going into us. Now, that's not a reason. That's not the excuse for losing. It's a reality of we're not very good and they were really good. And I think now I'm looking at USF and I'm looking at these opponents we're getting ready to play. And although they're good teams, they're not playing great. And USF is super talented and really well coached and have really cool schemes, but not playing very good football like us. So this is kind of like a battle of who can clean it up and who has a stronger will, in my opinion. Like who can clean up their mess in a week, who can take it to game day and execute better in that moment, because they're kind of probably having the same issues we're having. And then it's probably a battle of wills, because there's going to be some ebb and flows, and there's going to be a test of both teams that it's going to go bad at some point on either side for either team, and who handles that kind of roller coaster better, I think will determine who wins this game.
When you look at where your team's at, though, are you able to put something on, like, for instance, the first half against Arkansas? Like, when you're at this point and the team's lost a lot of confidence in itself, can you point back to a time in the season when it was really, really good and say, hey, guys, we're not, like, this is the same, like, you're still the same guys. Like, here's where it is. Like, is there anything that you can do like that to kind of invoke some confidence in what these guys are capable of?
I've done that. Yeah. Like, I've done that. We had a truth-telling session where I told them all the truth of who we are, and I led with the good. The truth is, we gave a really good Arkansas team all they can handle, and outside of 3 or 4 plays in the second half, we had that game won. We won a lot of one. The thing that blew my mind against Arkansas was we won a lot of one-on-one matchups. Like, you go back and look at it from an NFL eye, which is simply just looking at one-on-one matchups. And we won a lot, like more than half. And I was like, okay, we're going to be a good football team. And then you look at Navy, Tulane, Army, and we're losing most of those one-on-one matchups. And so, like, even though the truth, I showed them the good stuff, it didn't carry over. And I'm not blaming the kids. I hope you hear me correctly. Like, anytime I have told this to the team, I have said this to the coaches. When players aren't playing to their potential, that is a coaching issue. Like, that, we are doing something that's not allowing a player to be unlocked. And it's on us. This is our job. This is our responsibility to find a way to unlock a player so he can play his best football on Saturday. So, I hate it when it's just because, we're doing our job and players aren't doing their jobs. That's not the case here. We feel as coaches that we are not doing our jobs. We're doing something wrong in our jobs, is preventing our kids from playing to their potential. And we're trying to turn over every stone to figure out what it is.
What's the reaction to that honesty meeting that you said you had with the guys? Do you feel like that they were receptive to that? You feel like that it's kind of been motivating?
Yeah, our kids have been good. They've responded really well. I mean, you're always going to have guys that are jumping off the boat, right? I mean, you have that. You look at some of the good teams right now. You have guys jumping off the boat with red shirts and, selfish agendas. We don't have a lot of that. Like, unless the wool is being totally pulled over my eyes, but I don't think it is. And I've talked to coaches and I've talked to veteran players, young players. These kids are coming in hungry. We had a walk through Monday night. I changed the schedule up a little bit. We had a walk through Monday night, and it was energetic. They were locked in. First look at the game plan. They were excited. We had, another phenomenal practice yesterday. Outside of maybe 4 or 5 plays offensively, the ball was not touching the ground. Guys were coming off the ball. It was physical. Not a lot of mental mistakes. Defensively, run into the football, communicating, shedding blocks. Like, it was all the things we're looking to improve on. So, their effort has been tremendous. Their energy during the week has been great. I've said it since day one, regardless of our record, they've been a really fun group to coach. They're likable kids. They give you a lot. Of course, they have stuff they need to fix. I mean, we all do. I think even the really good teams are trying to fix stuff right now. I really have never seen anything like this in my football life.
And then finally, Coach, as you get ready to head into the bye week, it's like a 1-game season. You know, I always feel like that last game before the bye week is always kind of a tricky one. I don't know why that is. I think guys are anxious to like have a deep breath and to kind of get back on track and all these other things. But have you had to do anything additional this week in order to make sure the guys are locked in on the last game you'll play before a week off?
You know, something that was brought to my attention, and I agree, like even my whole football life, like that week before the bye, you're right. It's like, okay, I'm in, but I'm also thinking about
guys are making plans and
yeah.
It's like, you know, like,
yeah.
It's the real deal. Yeah.
It really is. And, you know, we did give them a chance to go see their families on our first bye, and I'll give them the same chance, and they know this for the second one. But I think their tanks were full from that standpoint. And I think we're so desperate. You know, we're so desperate for a win, both coach and player. I am optimistically positive. You know, I'm optimistic that they're not looking too far ahead. They know we got to go down to Tampa and somehow, some way, find a way to win this football game, then reset over the bye and look towards, you know, adding the next link to the chain when we come back home.
Coach, we always appreciate the time. Love your honesty. Love talking football with you. We'll do it again next week. Best of luck this weekend.
Appreciate you guys. See you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Trent Dilfer, UAB head football coach, joining us there on the Buyers Right hotline for all your insurance, financial, HR needs. It's Buyers Right Insurance, a Higginbotham partner. So, and one win can do that, Greg. One win can shift the momentum. It can change the direction. It can get different people on board. It can give you that confidence. And you look ahead, it would be Tulsa, UConn, at Memphis, Battle of the Bones, Rice, and Charlotte. They're gettable games on the back end of the schedule for Trent Dilfer's bunch. If they can just find a way to grab that one, you would think that could easily lead to a couple more down the stretch.
Yeah, and if I'm honestly really happy to hear that they're practicing well. You know, I mean, that's the key. It's just now it's about applying the things that you work on in practice to the game. And that's not always easy. I know it seems easy. At least I would think it'd be easier than the other way around. Like to get a good team to practice hard is a lot more difficult than to get a team that's not playing well, you know, to play better when the practices have been good. So I think that's encouraging, but now it's just about execution and not freaking out when things start to go a little sideways. In fairness, though, like I know that we don't make excuses. And I know Trent's not going to make excuses. I don't think anybody associated with that program is going to make excuses, but allow me to make excuse on their behalf. For those that are freaking out about the current state of UAB football, just take a peek at the teams that they've played and tell me what their record is. Because it's honestly, they've played one of the more difficult schedules in the country. I mean, seriously, it's absurd. So if you want to go through it, we can go through it. Army, undefeated. Navy, undefeated. What's Tulane's record? They're pretty good. I don't know exactly what it is off the top of my head. I think Tulane is like 4-2 or something like that.
Tulane is 4-2.
Okay, so Tulane's 4-2. So you have two teams that are 6-0 and 4-2. Arkansas is 4-2. What's Louisiana Monroe? I think they're 4-2 also.
No, I thought they're 5-1. 5-1 says Daniel.
5-1
from the back,
and then they beat Alcorn. So they have played teams that have combined to lose 5 games this year.
Yeah, what did he say? 27-5. Trent threw that out there early in the interview.
Oh, did he? I didn't hear it.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
But that's freaking difficult.
Yeah.
So you're playing against good teams. I know it hasn't been competitive, but like, give me a break.
All right. There are gettable games there. And you mentioned, how can you take what you're practicing and apply it? Well, it's easy with Dale's. Apply it to your meats and vegetables. I've tackled a lot of game day meals in my day. Nothing compares to the flavor boost from Dale's Seasoning. If you're heading to a tailgate, this marinade, your MVP. 30 minutes with Dale's on those meats and veggies. Transform from bland to bold. Ribs, burgers, veggies. If you're grilling those up, Dale's versatility is a game changer. Make every bite count and score big with Dale seasoning. All right, when we come back, I'm going to continue discussing. Well, first off, we kind of had a combined bad box score of the day last night. There's some rough football that was on. But we'll go through it. And then also some of those potential college football playoff matchups we were discussing with Greg. Specifically, Miami's first round matchup with either LSU or Alabama. Which does he think the Hurricanes would rather have? We'll discuss that next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is 7:34 a.m. Wednesday, October 16th on Jocks 94.5. Let's just, Sutton, what do you want, buddy? What's going on?
I'm sorry. I just wanted to call in and ask you a specific question, Cole.
I'm not mad at you. I just I'm trying to think of when I'm going to get to Texas A&M, and then I could allow you on. And I don't really see that in our future today. So let's just knock it out. Not in a bad way. What are we?
Yeah, no, I'll take it as a bad way.
He should.
That's okay. We'll fly underneath the radar screens. Throw me under the bus for calling in. That's fine. But I did want to actually ask you a question, since you are incredibly knowledgeable about guys with their hands in the dirt. Why is A&M different this year on the offensive line with Cushing versus last year, and we got the same guys?
Well, first off, from one year to the next, there's always a chance you're going to be able to improve and get better. Just more reps, more time. I do think that this system, it's a little more college-y, if that makes sense. So it's going to not allow the defense to attack you in certain ways. And also, I mean, listen, I like Adazio a lot. Greg and I were talking to him at our seminar. I think he's a great guy. I think he knows a ton of football. But his style of coaching is fading. It's exiting college football. And I can imagine that's difficult for a lot of guys. And sometimes when you're underperforming and you have that hard-nosed coach that just wants to grind you, that's a little bit old school, the message doesn't get home because you pay attention to all the other stuff. You pay attention to being called, the dumbest expletive that they've ever coached, or you pay attention to getting punched in the stomach, or you pay attention to getting spit on, and getting kicked in the rear end and all this other stuff. So you don't pay attention to the fundamentals and the footwork and the hand placement, and the hat placement. So a lot of times just also, getting a new life can inject something into guys. I mean, I can speak to when we switched coaches, I mean, our room was elated because we just were going to get a new guy. Like we just hell yeah, let's start over. Like it's like it's hitting the reset button to a certain extent for some guys. So I think some guys are also playing maybe a little bit healthier. But it's been fun to watch because, like I said, I was very complimentary after that Missouri game because of how they sorted out all the movement. If you go back and really watch it, they weren't knocking guys 15 yards off the ball and, putting guys, burying them, double teams 5 yards off the ball. But they managed and handled the movement very well. And that's a sign of continuity. Now, some of your fellow fans are mad at me for not saying that the left tackle is playing great football because I guess the head coach has said that he's been their captain for the last 3 weeks or whatever. I still think he's a little bit of a liability out there, but he's coming along a little bit. He's getting better. So that's a group, like I said, after week 2, 3, like we might be talking about this group in week 8 or 9 as the most improved offensive line in the SEC.
So last thing, Greg, I thought your call on Saturday night was the best call I've ever heard.
Ever heard?
I appreciate it, buddy.
Ever, because it seemed like he was having a blast. And it was fun to watch you call the game, being excited about calling the game. I mean, it was awesome. And so I just wanted to give you the props for that.
Well, I appreciate it. You'd have to be dead not to be wanting to jump out of the booth in nighttime in Death Valley. I mean, Cole knows you've done games up there. It's like,
it's awesome.
At night, I don't know if it's the best place, but if there's some place better,
the people that haven't been
show
there,
up, right?
They don't understand how different and unique it is. That's the thing about Baton Rouge in general, really. But then that place, especially, it is so unique, and they're all unique. Kyle Field is unique. Jordan Hare is unique. Gainesville, the Swamp, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium at Florida Field at Steve Spurrier Pavilion. They're all very unique and different. But
that Jim McElroy concourse.
Will Muschamp Walkway.
Urban Meyer porta potties.
That too. They I mean, you go to Willie B. Willie B, I'll tell you this. The ones that are most different at night, I would agree with Greg. Baton Rouge 1. Williams-Brice is the next in line as most different at night. Now, they're all good at night, but
yeah, they're all good at night.
2:30 to 6:30, Willie B turns into something a little bit different now when the lights go out. And then you put that state fair across the street, and all of a sudden it gets weird. That place can get fun.
I thought you didn't like fairs.
But there's something about when you walk into Tiger Stadium and the sun's just starting to go down. I'm just telling you, man, I get the same feeling every time I walk in there. And maybe it's just because I kicked their ass twice when I played there. I don't know. And smoked cigars on the 50. But hey, that's a small portion of it.
Small.
It really does. There's not another place that gets my juices flowing like that place does at night. It's awesome.
It's a good spot they're all good. They're all good in their own way. I mean, it's just I love A&M at night. I'll
tell you the craziest part about Baton Rouge, Greg. You want to know the best atmosphere that I've ever been to there?
What?
Southern at LSU.
Oh, I bet that was good.
Yeah.
Well, you said there were like 100,000 people outside the stadium.
There were. How far is the Hilton from the stadium downtown?
Oh, gosh.
5 minutes?
5 miles tops.
It took us an hour and a half to get to the stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious. Like, you couldn't move.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. It was like Freaknik meets Mardi Gras. And a football game was also there.
Oh, by the way.
Even though one of those is not allowed anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have attended both.
Same.
By the way.
Yeah.
So Greg's like, what are y'all talking about?
I've not been to that.
What is this?
Yeah, I don't think they had it when you were alive, actually.
Not familiar.
Might have technically ended, yeah.
I got stories about that, though. I'll save those for later. Baton Rouge special, man. I love that place. I really do. Especially like a game you had when like some of the old players come out and like Shaq's there and the stars are out. Like that's when it ramps up just a little bit more.
Yeah,
and then
rivalry
you get a game
games
like
there are good.
Ooh.
Like Arkansas there, you did Arkansas there a couple weeks. Like rivalry games there are just really cool.
We had the Florida game last year.
Florida.
Jaden Daniels went nuts. We had the Ole Miss game that was at the end of the season a couple of years ago there, which was awesome. LSU won that game. And, yeah, we've had some cool ones there. We had Coach O getting A&M at the end. Like, that one was wild for a lot of – that one was super weird for a lot of different reasons. So, it's a cool place, man. I love that place. All right. We'll get to our top three on the other side. Still going to get Greg to answer that question about what matchup Miami would want, LSU or Alabama. We'll do that next hour. Andy Burcham at 8 a.m., and we'll talk some of the football from last night as well. But first, G-Mac, tell our listeners about Bromberg's.
Well, Bromberg's has been serving this community for nearly 200 years. And you're going to have a great experience when you go and you walk into one of their 2 locations. They've set the standard in fine jewelry, in watches, in giftware. They're the very best in customer service. They also can do that custom one-of-a-kind piece for you. They're the oldest firm in the state and the nation's oldest family-owned and operated retailer. And they're doing a buyback event, too. October 17th, that's at the Summit. So tomorrow at the Summit. And then Friday at the store in Mountain Brook, you can sell your jewelry, diamonds, watches, and collectibles for immediate payment, or you can receive 120% of your offer in Bromberg store credit. So appointments are highly recommended, by the way. So call the store to schedule your appointment. You can always shop online as well at brombergs.com.
Just when you thought the NFL was out of tricks and they might not be the biggest, baddest kid on the block anymore, Roger Goodell says, watch these ruse. I'll tell you what they are next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. We will get to our top three here in just a moment. But first, as I mentioned, the NFL kind of never really stops. They never really sleep. 7:46 a.m. Wednesday, October 16th, right here on Jocks 94.5. Front Office Sports reporting. The NFL is eyeing the eventual sale of a separate international media rights package that could fetch more than $1 billion in rights fees. So something that's already out there, already been sold and divided multiple ways for multiple billions, is just going to be regurgitated in a different place geographically, Greg, for another $1 billion.
But what I don't understand is, like, do they sell it to Sky Sports? Like, what do they? I've never lived in Europe.
I think you would have different broadcast teams. I think you would have different, all of that. I mean, it'd be totally different.
It's unbelievable.
Imagine being the lawyer that walked in Roger Goodell's office and, like, his job is to look for things for them to be able to make more money. He's like,
I got it.
Excuse me, Commissioner, I have something important. We're trying to run a meeting right now. We'll just, if you don't mind. Our contracts with ESPN and Fox and CBS say nothing about international broadcast. So wait a minute. You're telling me we can just do all this again? Yes.
You're right, Johnson.
It's really amazing.
Billy, get on that.
So what do the expats do now? Like, out of curiosity, like, if you're living in, say, Madrid and you want to watch the Jets game, like, what do you do now? Surely there's a way.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Surely there's a way to watch those games. I mean, surely there is.
This is my assumption now, and I'm like you. I've never lived in England or France.
And you telling me you haven't been to Europe during the football season?
How dare
not.
You
I would imagine
are not cultured.
They have a similar situation than what we kind of used to have, where it's you get a game and they send the European broadcast team or like the Spanish broadcast team, and that's what Mexico gets for their one game on Sunday or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And so their team goes and they call the game, and you get that game. Maybe we have somebody that's lived over there during football season can tell us. 800-239-9569.
I'm sure there's somebody listening that's been over there.
But I don't think it's just the, Buck and Aikman feed that goes over there and they just watch that game. I don't think that's it.
I don't think so.
So, I don't think they have access to every game, which, I mean, I'm sure you can finagle, YouTube and somehow.
Invest
Yeah.
But yeah.
VPN. Just invest.
There you go. So
There you go. VPN does rip, but it does
What
kind
is
of.
VPN? I don't know what that is.
You don't need to know about it.
It allows you to change where you're watching something. So if
Yes.
you wanted an international feed, or if you were international, say if something happens and you're overseas in Europe and want to watch American TV, well, you try to get on European internet, it won't let you because you're overseas.
It's called
VPN
a
will fix
virtual
that.
private
You
network.
just put like 35209 as your zip code.
If you're a
There you go.
crypto,
More or
if you're a
less, in
crypto,
essence.
if you're a crypto guy, you have one.
So
That's
obviously
your-
Cole
Oh, so
does
that
it.
now-
That's your knock.
I can remember the
Now
early days.
All you smooth
of,
brains can't handle it. It's too.
Smooth brain.
Well, the early days of DirecTV before Sunday Ticket were great because, like, up in the 500s, you would have the New York, LA,
Correct,
Chicago local stations.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And on Sundays, they would
They
have
would
their
have the
games.
yes, yeah.
And so I would always be like, I don't need Saints Falcons again. But boy, Bears Vikings looks pretty good
That would
this
be
week.
fun, yeah.
You go to the Chicago locals, and oh, good, there it is. So yeah, you could sort of finagle that.
But then Tagliabue figured that out. It's like, wait, what?
Because I used to try to use my aunt and uncle's address in Pittsburgh
Right.
for my DirecTV bill,
Mm-hmm.
and they would, and I would pay it direct deposit, but I was like, no, this is my address, and I had to have some other proof, and they would never let me do it. 'Cause I just wanted the Steelers games every
Right.
week. I didn't care. I didn't need the local Huntsville station.
How mad would you be if you lived in, like, I don't know, Barcelona?
Jacksonville.
No, yeah, that would be unfortunate. How mad would you be if you lived in Barcelona? You get one NFL game a week, and it's like Seattle against the Raiders every week,
No.
or something
No,
of
thank
that
you.
level.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that. I would be. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what game they get, how they choose it, but
The worst one. Just give them the
could be
worst game.
awful. Could be awful.
Then Jaguars, the London Jaguars are pretty bad to watch.
You're already calling them that?
I've been calling them that.
I mean, they've been there every
been
year
there.
for the
This
last
ain't new.
ever.
And they're going back Sunday.
Yeah. They stayed there. They didn't go back.
Yeah,
They stayed.
They're there.
Yeah.
All right, Damian, what do you have for our top 3 today?
Man, our top 3 actually comes from a listener.
England? Oh,
No, it comes from a listener. I don't know his origin, but he has a collection. Well, I guess the tweet has a collection of jerseys, and it's the first jersey you think of when you think of the 90s. So, what are your top 3 retro/throwback jerseys?
so we're not talking player. We're just talking like the team.
Yeah.
The Patriots wore them this past weekend. The Patriots throwbacks are better than their everyday uniforms. There's no doubt in my mind. 0. They need to wear those. Second would be the Pittsburgh block numbers. Get rid of these curvy numbers, whatever they are. It's stupid. It looks terrible. But we're going best. Those are my 2 best. So then the third would be, we're just staying football here?
No,
We're
it
just
can be
going
whatever
NFL?
sport.
I'm just going to stay NFL because it gets too discombobulated if you go other places. Let me pull up.
So the block
standings here.
numbers.
Yes, you know Pittsburgh has little curvy numbers now.
Yeah.
Go back and look at like Bradshaw.
They had the blocks back then.
Oh, they're so good. It's so good. It's amazing. The other Houston Oilers.
Oh gosh.
Tennessee Oilers.
No, Houston Oilers.
I know it was
Tennessee does not have
Stop that.
they can't do that. But yeah, that would be my other probably throwback. I do like the Kelly Green Eagles.
Ugh.
Those are legit.
That's a
Those
good
are
look.
hideous.
Not a big fan.
Those are hideous.
And it's not a big difference, but when the Raiders do their throwbacks, and I honestly can't tell you exactly
Throwbacks?
what they do. Can't tell you exactly what the difference is, but they look good.
You're talking best uniforms in the NFL or any sport.
Any sport.
Yeah.
From the 90s, right?
Yeah. Retro, throwback. Mine throwback is 2006.
Best uniforms in the
That's a
NFL.
toss back.
Best uniforms in the NFL are pretty simple. It honestly does not get much easier. It's Cowboys, Raiders, 49ers.
Okay, so it's the black around the numbers, the black bar, like that's the
Yeah.
Raiders throwback.
I get what you're saying.
Is that the color rush?
That's strong. No,
Yuck. Cowboys, Raiders, 49ers, in whatever order. It really doesn't matter. Those 3 are in a league of their own.
do you like the stupid blue shoulder pad jerseys with the star on the shoulder?
No, I like the traditional white with silver breeches. Like I don't do the whole like the Thanksgiving throwbacks the white helmet's kind of cool, but like I don't really care. Doesn't do much for me. And then the
Wait,
ones
you're telling me the Packers like brown pants?
how about the Steelers Bumblebees?
Really bad.
Those are bad.
That's not a yeah.
Ain't a good look.
In the NBA, it's very simple. It's Lakers by a mile, Knicks, and I don't even like orange and blue, but it just works.
Why not? What's wrong with orange and
Knicks
blue?
are legit.
So legit. And then I like the Miami Heat uniforms in the NBA.
Which ones? They have like
The
72.
traditionals,
yeah.
the black with the white numbers and the red outline.
I tell you, you
And-
forget how many different NBA uniform combinations there are until your kid wants to dress up as an NBA player for Halloween.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you have to find the shorts. and you're like,
Exactly.
wow.
Yeah.
Well,
We got powder blue. We got white. We got navy blue. We got yellow. We
That's
got
why-
rainbow. We
that's
got,
why-
I mean,
that's why my kids,
Wow.
one of my children is going as Michael Jordan for Halloween. We don't celebrate current NBA. We celebrate 90s NBA. So next year you should be Jeff Hornacek.
Okay.
also
So-
feel a different theme there, but I'm going to stay away from
Yeah.
it because I don't feel like
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
safe from a corporate level. I'm going to leave that one alone.
why? What's wrong with you? You're sick.
No freak in that future.
Yeah.
You're going with basketball intelligence, I see.
Michael Jordan? Golly. All right.
You didn't want like a Wilt Chamberlain jersey or nothing?
I'm not sure you can even get that.
What team did he play
Would
for?
it fit?
One of those teams out west.
That's-
I know he was a Lakers.
I don't know. And then Major League Baseball to me is probably the most debatable. Dodgers white home, Yankees pinstripe, and I don't know who the third would be.
Seattle Mariners.
What?
The teal.
I think-
Nobody likes the Seattle Mariners.
I think the Cardinals are up there.
Cardinals are up there. Whites. They're always home jerseys in baseball.
Cubs up there probably.
Homes.
I tell you, I like
the Braves red.
I really do. I like the Mets pinstripes too. I think those are clean.
That is a
oh
good look,
gosh,
yeah.
they're such wannabes.
I will say this:
Giants are pretty good.
one major league team that has brought old back that's working are the Padres. That was a disgusting uniform in the '90s. It looks good.
Somehow
now.
it works.
does.
now.
It looks
Yeah.
really good.
It does, but the colors
It's
work.
exactly.
The colors work. Like that's the San Diego colors.
Underrated Orioles.
Orioles rip with the white
The
front
white panel on the front of the hat
Yeah.
that's one of the best hats in
Clean look.
baseball.
That's the best hat in baseball.
White Sox need a reset, by the way.
You can
That was
have them.
really cool in the late
The whole
90s,
organization.
but we need, well,
Top to bottom.
I was just talking uniforms. You had to go there. All right, Andy Burcham joins the show next. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is 8 a.m. Wednesday, October 16th on Jocks 94.5. Get to Andy Burcham here in just a moment. First, I'll quickly tell you about Game Day Men's Health. If you are lacking energy, getting poor sleep, feeling on edge, could be the effects of low testosterone, go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. You can set up a free appointment. It's a free consultation, and with that, you're going to get a free PSA test, free testosterone test, get a baseline of where you are from a health perspective. Also, mention Cube. You save 10% on every service that they offer. But one of the differences between Game Day Men's Health and a lot of the other places you can go in Birmingham, minimal upfront cost for the programs that they offer. You're going to be asked to put a lot of money down at other places. It's not going to happen at Game Day Men's Health. You're going to have a friendly atmosphere. They just want to help you out. They're not going to try to push you into things that you don't need. Get all the facts at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Schedule that appointment today. Just go see right now. Testosterone replacement therapy has many benefits, can help you with sleep, better mood, less brain fog, more energy, and more. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. It's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. All right, a couple of games last night, just quickly. South Alabama got by Troy 25-9. Troy, now 1-6 on the season. They're 0-3 in conference play for the first time as a member of the Sun Belt Conference ever. South Alabama up to 3-4. Troy had 36 yards rushing in this game. The total yardage, 318 to 172. Gio Lopez goes 16 to 21, 158 yards, a touchdown, no picks, ran 11 times for 67 yards, and another touchdown. This snapped a 6-game losing streak to Troy. So South Alabama gets the belt last night and going to have to look for a different way to get some wins moving forward. Troy is, but a nice bump for the Jags. Andy Burcham joins us each and every week at this time to discuss the Auburn Tigers, thanks to our friends at Craneworks.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
The voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham, on Mac and Cube in the Morning is brought to you by Craneworks. Lifted, buy and rented, the big dog's got it. Now, Andy Burcham.
Good morning, Andy. What do we know? What have we learned? What is different coming out of the bye week for this Auburn football team heading to Missouri this weekend?
I think Auburn will be a little bit healthier. And good morning, by the way. I think Auburn will be a little bit healthier going into the game at Missouri. Exactly if there's going to be anything different about this Auburn team, we'll find out. I think that one thing that Hugh Freeze talked about on Tiger Talk with us Monday and at his press conference on Monday is the desire to get the ball to Jarquez Hunter a little bit more. That may be the biggest, and I don't know if difference is the right word. It may be the biggest shift offensively for Auburn is that the running game becomes even more prominent coming out of the Georgia game 2 weeks ago and going into this second half of the season. Hunter was 78 carries and 528 yards. It's not as though Auburn has overused him at all. And with the off week, I would think he would be strong and that run game would be ready to go going into a really good defense in Missouri on Saturday.
You can emphasize the at all a little bit more there, Andy. Go ahead if you want.
What do you think has been a point of emphasis in the last week? I mean, the last time out, the game, I think Andy felt a lot closer than it actually, looked at the end. I think they played pretty well on the road in a hostile environment, a play or two here or there. Maybe it's a different outcome. So was there confidence off the performance last time out, or are people still searching?
I think it's a little bit of both, Matt. I thought that the one step forward that Auburn has taken even in its last two games, the loss to Oklahoma and then the loss to Georgia, is the fact that Auburn has minimized its turnovers. It had the pick six, of course, in Oklahoma. It did not have a turnover at all at Georgia. That continues to get better, and we know how much of a problem that was in the Cal and the Arkansas game. So I think that's a bit of confidence going in. I think they look for consistency at this point. That was a point of emphasis that Hugh Freeze has talked about through the week, being more consistent, especially offensively, with how it goes about its work at this point. Listen, what to expect this week, I really don't know. We'll find out in an early game at Missouri, and a game that is incredibly important for Auburn, certainly with regard to the rest of the season, but it's really important for Missouri as it tries to rebound from 2 weeks ago, that loss at Texas A&M, because if Missouri, and granted, it will be, it has that game at Alabama next week, but if Missouri takes care of business, Missouri, I think, is back in the picture for the playoff hunt at this point. Now, they've got to take care of business in doing that, but there's a great deal on the line on Saturday. For Auburn, it's continuing to build and gaining momentum for the back half of the season. For Missouri, they're still looking to be a playoff team at this point.
Absolutely. Andy Burcham joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline. He's with us each and every week, thanks to Craneworks. You mentioned health-wise. Where will that make the biggest difference for this Auburn football team against Missouri on Saturday?
Well, I hope for Auburn it's up front. Too Tall Miller has kind of been in and out. He was, as Matt knows, after calling that ball game at Georgia a couple weeks ago, they lost him in that ball game, and they had to move Dylan Wade out to right tackle, hoping to see Too Tall Miller at right tackle for Auburn. I don't know if health is an issue at left tackle, but that has become a problem for Auburn. It was a problem against Georgia. Now, granted, that's the personnel you're facing as well. I'm trying to get out to practice today just to see if there's, what's happening at that left tackle spot. That's been a little bit of it's been shaky for Auburn in the last couple of weeks. Is it going to be Percy Miller? Is it going to be, Tyler Johnson? Does Auburn think about, and I'm not trying to put words into anybody because no one has said this, but do they contemplate Dylan Wade back out at left tackle going into the Missouri game? Again, no one has said that, but that's the spot that Dylan played a year ago for Auburn.
How would you? What do you think is the most important thing going into this game this weekend? Is it a fast start? Is it a? I think it's easy to say, don't turn it over, don't make mistakes. Like I think those are understood, but what beyond the obvious, what do you think is the most important thing this week for Auburn as they go on the road?
I think a quick start is important. One because it's an 11 o'clock game. It's Auburn's first early game of the season. Follows game day on Saturday. It is a sellout crowd expected at Burrow Field on Saturday. How involved is that crowd early in that ball game with the early start? So I think a quick start is paramount for Auburn in this ball game. Auburn did not get off to a quick start at Georgia. Came back and early in the second half was able to cut the lead to one score, but Georgia was able to respond and then pulled away for the win. A quick start, I think, would just be huge for this Auburn team to give it some momentum, give it some confidence as it plays at Missouri on Saturday. And I think the run game. I really think the run game is just of paramount importance for Auburn going into this one.
I don't think anybody would disagree with you there, Andy. Andy Burcham, voice of the Auburn Tigers, with us on the Buyers Right Hotline, joins us every week thanks to Craneworks. Defensively, is DJ Durkin getting the credit that we feel he deserves inside that facility? I don't feel a lot of people, really even across the state, regionally, nationally, are giving him a lot of credit for what he's done with this group. It's not like it's littered with NFL talent. There are some good players, but it's not like there's 3 or 4 first-round draft picks out there, and they've played really good football this year.
I think he's getting credit inside the facility. I think that this staff and the head coach knows of the work that he has done with at some spots a very young team, especially at the cornerback spot. Yeah, and whether he's getting the credit across the country and through others, I don't know. At this point, I think he and his staff on that defensive side have done a really good job. And again, it's on both sides of the ball. It's a program that continues to build for Auburn. And on defense, guys, you take a look at both of the cornerback spots where you're playing freshmen and sophomores. DeMarcus Riddick continues to move his way up the depth chart at the linebacker spot. Malik Blockton playing at defensive tackle is a true freshman. Caleb Harris is a midseason freshman All-American at safety for Auburn. So, that, and then Keldrick, listen, we know Keldrick Falk is a sophomore, is a veteran, but we got to remember he's just a sophomore as well and leads Auburn with 5 sacks. So that every one of those guys I just mentioned are either freshman or sophomore and playing important minutes for Auburn on a defense that I think has played relatively well for this Tiger team this season. One thing I think that they would love for this defense to do more of is to create turnovers, and that's really tough against Missouri. Missouri's only turned the ball over twice all season long.
That's going to be big. I do think turnover margin is, I don't know if it's the biggest stat in the game, but if it's second, I'd like to know what's first. That's for sure. I know a lot of people probably anticipate an angry Missouri. I'm a little over that narrative after what we've talked about with Bama. It's like, guys, there's no anger like walking onto the field. Like, you practice hard, you play hard, you do what you do. So how would you assess the mentality of Auburn this week. Let's just say they go out, get a win. All is right in the world. Plenty of big opportunities down the stretch to have some big games and to spoil some seasons. But if they lose coming out of bye week, how detrimental is that? Because this one feels enormous for Auburn and feels like also, Andy, like one they can get.
I agree on both. I think it is huge for Auburn. Listen, at some point, for Auburn to have success in the Southeastern Conference this season, the Tigers have to find a way to win a close ball game, win a big game. I mean, they've been on the brink against Cal and Arkansas and Oklahoma. And really midway through the third quarter, you could say they were on the brink at Georgia 2 weeks ago. They have not found a way to win one of those games yet. They have to find one of those. They have to get one of those, I think. And then that gives you the confidence moving forward when you go to Kentucky in a week. And then you come back home against what we all know is an incredibly improved Vanderbilt ball club. And then you still have ULM, which is having a fabulous season. You still have A&M at this point. This is playing, as Missouri is playing to try and get in that mix for the playoff and then the Iron Bowl. So there is, for Auburn, I think it's about confidence at this point. It's finding a way to get over the hump in one of these big ball games. Whether Auburn's able to do that, we'll find out, and perhaps we find out this Saturday against Missouri.
Has there been any discussion, Andy, about situations, critical points in games where some of these mistakes have been made, like how you address that, how you practice that, how you talk to the team about that?
I would assume so, but that has not been discussed with us or in the media at press conferences, but surely that has been discussed and they've gone over it time and time again. I mean, Hugh Freeze at his presser on Monday was, talked about mistakes that have been made and that those just, that can't continue to happen. So yes, I would think that has been discussed a great deal at this point. So we'll find out. We'll find out on Saturday.
Andy, we always appreciate the time. Always good catching up with you. I will be in Norman, Oklahoma this weekend. Greg will be, Greg's doing, he's in Knoxville. He's doing that game. Whoever they got.
Well, guys, I hope you have a great trip and a great call this week. That'll be an interesting game for you, Greg, in Knoxville, huh?
I'm sure it'll be very hospitable.
Turn your notifications off.
They love you there.
I've done that game before. It was in Tuscaloosa, and it's a very hostile scene. It's a big part of the reason why just social media is just not necessary. A game like that. So staying off the social medias. That's going to be something that will be beneficial to my mental health before, during, and after that game.
Well, I hope both of you have. I both hope you have good big calls this Saturday. I look forward to being in Columbia. It's Auburn's second ever visit. The last time Auburn played there was 2017. It was a blowout win for Auburn. It was a tiny crowd in Columbia. It will be a much different atmosphere at Faurot Field when Auburn gets there on Saturday. I expect that it's going to be a fun day. It's going to be a fun day in Columbia. Will
you take a venture over to the ballpark when you connect in St. Louis just for good feels?
No, we're flying into. I'll be on the team flight flying into Como. So maybe we fly over Busch Stadium and I can, salute the greatest baseball program in the history of mankind. But
easy.
I won't make it to St. Louis this week.
All right. Well, get a Booches. Shakespeare's overrated. They're gonna hate me for saying that, but sorry, it is. It's not. It's just.
We're
it's
going.
Just pizza,
we're going.
so.
We're taking the crew to D Rose Friday night.
I'll have to ask Tom
very
about
good
that one.
sports bar.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Watch Oregon, Purdue. Andy, always good stuff. We know each and every week you're brought to us by Craneworks.
And Rental Works offers a full line of rental equipment for any of their machinery needs. They also offer operators for every type of equipment as well. They can supply the equipment you need, plus the man to do the job. Go to craneworks.com for a quote in Birmingham, Nashville, Mobile, and Huntsville. Guys, have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Good stuff. That's Andy Burcham, voice of the Auburn Tigers, joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline. For all your insurance, financial, HR needs, is Buyers Right Insurance, a Higginbotham partner. So, actually, you know what? I'm going to go to Preston quickly because he says he has some information on watching NFL overseas. Preston, what do you have for us today?
What's going on, guys? Sorry, I missed the initial segment, but I got a text saying I needed to call in to discuss this.
So we don't we saw where the NFL is preparing to resell its rights overseas for $1 billion, and we were just discussing what you get when you live in Australia, Europe, Japan, whatever. Is it their own broadcast? Like, is this going to be Sky Sports doing this? Like, how is this going to work? Or what do you get currently?
I have never seen an American broadcast on anything other than YouTube when abroad. There may be a way to do it. I'm not aware of it.
Okay.
Every time we've ever watched anything, it's always been on YouTube. The bar, like watching sports in public culture, is very different than the United States. There's a lot smaller, more intimate venues that have like one television and everyone in there is diehard for whatever team it is, usually like Real Madrid in my experiences. But I've never seen like an NFL game on any of those screens. So it is not easy. I'm all for the NFL going abroad. I just don't, I question probably what y'all are, or who is paying, who's valuing this at $1 billion. I think the demand is there for like the one-off games. I just don't know how much of an appetite there is internationally for American football.
Are you abroad right now?
No, I'm in Liberty Park right now.
That's abroad for
Same
Cole.
thing.
That's
It's over the Cahaba, right?
that's
Yeah.
International
Way over
waters.
here. Counts.
Okay.
Have you gone, like you mentioned, when they have, I can imagine like the Real Madrid watch parties are insane, but have you been to those same places on what the equivalent of a Sunday at 3:30 would be in the United States, to where they're just not having it on? They don't put it on?
Yes, there's just nothing on.
Okay. You figure you could
Like,
put
or I
something
mean, over there, it seems that I don't fully understand the soccer world of club versus national teams and stuff, but it seems that soccer is always on in some capacity.
got it.
I know that's not the reality, but it seems to be on more often than not.
Yeah, maybe it's a situation where they feel like there's a void in some of those windows to put live sports on, and that people would be into it. So,
Correct.
all right. Well, hey, thanks for straightening us out on that, Preston. We appreciate it.
Yeah, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Take care. Preston joining the show. So I imagine it would be their broadcast, Greg. And then you say you get early window, late window, or late window night game, Sunday, Monday. I don't know.
sounds like it. I mean, I'm sure probably the Nationals.
And if the $1 billion is your stopping point, well, I think you also have to how many people is this going in front of potentially? Because then there's where the value comes.
I would just assume it's a streamer. You go and you sell it to a streaming network that has international rights. Now, I'm no expert when it comes to like television rights deals.
You don't think this is the BBN?
I have enough information. I have enough information on the topic to be dangerous, but not nearly enough to be called an expert. That's for sure. I would assume these are going to be negotiations that are had with, say, Apple, but more than likely Amazon to distribute this internationally. They do have an international feed for postseason games, I know, that they distribute in Australia and other places. And actually, the Monday Night Football crew is one of the Monday Night Football crews is what calls that game internationally. So like Orlovsky and Riddick, along with, I believe, Chris Fowler, these last couple of years have done that. And I know Tess did it in the past and Levy did it in the past. So I know that's a thing.
So from what Preston is saying right now, if you live in Belgium, the only NFL games you watch are after the fact on YouTube?
No, I think you get it live, but it's pirated. Like someone just uses Twitch or whatever, and then puts it on YouTube.
Or
But
whatever
it does
y'all's
it live.
thing, your black box y'all were talking about earlier?
More or less, yeah. Hoping that YouTube doesn't take it down, because they're probably not watching international for that.
Yeah.
Man, but that's a lot of people you could potentially get in front of.
Correct, yes.
Like if the NFL could get into Asia and be somewhat popular, That's just a ton of eyeballs that all of a sudden is consuming your product.
That's probably why they're willing to throw down $1 billion or take in $1 billion for this.
I think the NFL is willing to take in $1 billion because it's $1 billion.
I just don't think I don't know if the NFL is popular. I think it's popular in Europe. I do. I think it's very popular in Europe. I think it's popular in Australia, especially because of the punters and stuff and like Australian use rules football. Like there's a bit of a passion. And I do think Australia and the United States in many ways, having had friends that are from Australia, well, one friend, culturally, there are a lot of similarities. I don't know how this plays in Asia.
This may not even be Asia, though. This could be just Europe.
Maybe.
And Australia and Iceland. Royal Payne tweeting in, NFL is on Sky Sports in the UK. I don't think that guy was entirely correct. I don't think he was saying, hey, I know everything about this. He's just giving us his experience of being there. So.
And it's tough to find because it's all about their football.
But I think if you gave the rights to networks in those parts of the world, now they promote it. They have their own broadcast team.
Oh yeah.
So it's their broadcast, and then of course it becomes something that they're going to put in a window that's going to be in front of a lot of people that they're going to most likely go watch it. So that's where I think things change just a little bit.
Although that Sunday night game would be kind of early or late for them.
That's the other part is the time change. Like when. I don't know the difference. When are these games airing?
It's a little Monday morning.
Yeah.
Turn on the Monday morning telly, please.
Perfect. You head to the pub.
The Ravens are taking on the Packers.
You get a pint and a bet and a football game at Monday at 9 a.m. I feel like a lot of folks
actually not bad
would probably be in for that.
I could see it being
popular. They already
popular.
work like 3 days a week, right? So
yes.
Not in August, though.
Yeah, have a month off, yeah.
Watch. We're going to start adjusting kick times in the NFL to accommodate European viewership. Watch, that'll be next.
As long as it's earlier, I'm for it. It's just you make it later, you're going to have some problems, I think. You don't want to have problems with your HVAC system. Get a checkup from a trained comfort specialist so when colder weather hits, you'll have peace of mind. You're protected by America's most reliable and trusted HVAC brand. Find a comfort specialist near you at train.com. Remember, it's hard to stop a train. Miami in the playoff. Who would they rather see, Bama or LSU? We'll discuss it next on Mac and Cube in the morning. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. 8:27 a.m. Wednesday, October 16th, Jocks 94.5. We were talking a little bit earlier in the show. McElroy did the college football playoff rankings show, which turned into a little bit of bracket talk. We were talking about different teams that we're going to get in, different matchups, and we found a couple of those that sound intriguing. Boise maybe at Penn State. And you brought up Miami, most likely getting the winner of the Alabama LSU game during the regular season. Which of those two teams do you think Miami would rather have if they could have that matchup today?
I think Miami would probably rather play. I think they'd probably rather play LSU. Miami's got a good pass rush. And I think the less mobile quarterback would be more advantageous to them. They gave up some quarterback runs against Cal. They also gave up a handful of quarterback runs against Virginia Tech. So I think quarterback run game can hurt Miami. So I would probably say LSU. I also think too, with playing Bama, Bama's I think going to get better because of how young they are in certain spots. Like I'm pretty optimistic that their best football's in front of them. So then it might come this weekend. It might come after the bye week. I don't know when it's coming, but it's going to come. And that secondary, I think, is going to round out because it's a very talented group. It's just they're young and there have been some growing pains and they've had some breakdowns. But it's coming. You can see the talent there. Like the interception to close the game against Georgia that's big time. That's a big time interception. So it's in there. It's just, I think at that point, you'd probably rather be playing LSU.
Okay.
But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. Do you think it would be just a little bit of a sidebar? Do you think it would be, I'm not saying Miami's not good. I think right now they're more talented than good. And sometimes that's enough, depending on who you play and how you play when you play certain teams. Would it be okay to describe them a little bit as sloppy?
They're a little bit high risk, high reward. I don't know if I'd go as far as say they're sloppy.
Just some of the run around that Cam Ward, and that's a little bit of who he is. Has his arm angle dropped even more, by the way?
It doesn't seem lower to me.
I just didn't remember him being that sidearm as he is this year.
I thought he was a little, I think he's been very sloppy in the last two outings.
And the offensive line, just a little like turning some guys loose and not really finishing. Defensive linemen kind of freelancing a little bit. Just I don't want to say undisciplined because it's not like they're just yanking guys' face masks and things like that, but just it feels like a lot of backyard ball a little bit to me when I watch them. It doesn't feel super clean. Now, again, that's not that they're not talented and doesn't mean they're not good. They're not going to beat a lot of people, but it just doesn't feel crisp when I watch it. Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
I don't think that's wrong. They've also been banged up. Like they're without their best defensive lineman. They've been without their left tackle. I mean, the fact that they're undefeated right now is pretty dang impressive, especially considering they've been at less than 100% since week one. I think Ruben Baines played like 4 snaps this year. So, and they're going to get healthy. It's just a matter of time.
Okay. All right. So I want to talk about some other potential matchups that we could have there. First, I want to tell you about Wayne's. If you're trying to get your yard matched up to being green, lush, weed-free, barefoot good, next time spring rolls around, you need to start taking care of it now. About to head into dormancy. Cold months are going to be here, and your yard needs to be treated now and over the next few months to look good when it does warm up again. Just one of the things that Wayne's can do for our listeners, Greg.
Wayne's will give you that first month free, too, if you call them today at 866-WAYNES-1 and use the offer code JOX. That's JOX. You'll be really happy with what you receive from Wayne's. The reason why I know that is because I've been happy with what I've received. Had them for years and haven't second-guessed it for a second. So go and check them out right now. Callwaynes.com. That's callwaynes.com and let Wayne's continue to create your happy place.
All right, let's look at a couple of other teams that are potentially going to be in the playoff and who would they not want to see early. We'll go through a couple more of those next, as well as some injury news around college football right after this on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Talking college football playoff if you want to be a part of the show. 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. What matchups would teams not want to avoid early in the college football playoff this season? So we'll be projecting on some teams that are potentially going to make their way in. But if you need to project a new pair of pants on, Greg, where should you go?
Oh, a new pair of pants, the pants store. They got so many different options for you. And right now, too, by the way, it's starting to cool off, man. Like, I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt today. Didn't really think it was going to be that cold when I left the house today at 6:15. Kind of underdressed. Basically shook the whole way here. But I'm probably going to stop at the pants store on the way home and get some layers. It's time. It's layer season. And Pants Store has you covered. And they got the best game day gear as well from all the best brands. So go and check them out in one of their several locations all throughout the Birmingham area. And you can zip on down to the Pants Store for all your game day needs.
All right, so is there one offhand that you remember last night discussing that would be an interesting matchup that you gave us Boise Penn State as you guys talked about
super interesting.
The college football playoff and some potential matchups that might be there.
Yes.
Another one stick out that you saw that, oh, okay, that would be one.
All right, so the practice that we have right now is basically using the AP poll. And remember, the rankings are not rankings, they're seedings. So seeds are very, very important, meaning it's more about the seed than it is the ranking. So if you're ranked 9th, you might not be the 9th seed.
Well, just take 2, 3, and 4.
Correct.
Only one of those teams is going to be in that top 4. It can't happen. Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State. So
correct.
2 of those coming out of those 4 spots.
Yes. So the first round matchups, the way things are currently constructed in the AP poll, Boise State, the highest G5, is at Penn State, the Big Ten runner-up. 12 versus 5.
Okay.
LSU is currently the 9th ranked or the 8th ranked team, but because Iowa State jumps them as the Big 12 champion, they drop down to the 9 seed, which pushes them from a home playoff game to a road playoff game.
Uh-oh.
Therefore, they have to play at Alabama, who is currently the 7th ranked team, but the 8th overall seed. One of the most intriguing games, and I was trying to figure out how they wound up here. Tennessee is currently 13th in the AP poll. Is that accurate?
Tennessee is 11th in the AP poll.
Okay, let's make it sure. Well, this number says 13th. I don't know why. But anyways, Tennessee is 11th, so they are the 11th seed playing against the 6th seed, who right now is actually the 4th ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. They're the 3rd. They're the 6th seed. They'll play the 11th seed. They play Tennessee. So Tennessee would travel to the horseshoe in that scenario.
Okay, so that matchup, is that a good one, a bad one for Ohio State? How would you feel about that one?
Depends on if Nico's hitting some downfield throws, because, I mean, they're very close. I think Tennessee's very close to starting to break some things open, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Where are you on these two Ohio State safeties as far as coverage is concerned? Because they will both come down and smash you. Like they are not afraid of contact. They're not afraid to hit you. I like watching them both play in run support. We saw them give up some plays over the top against Oregon this past weekend. Is that an area that you feel like Tennessee could attack them and have a lot of success?
I do think that Tennessee could create some issues on the perimeter. Now, I like Oregon's wideouts a lot better than I like Tennessee's wideouts. I think that's part of Tennessee's problem right now is I don't think they have elite wide receiver play. There's no Jalen Hyatt out there. And that's no disrespect to Thornton or Brew McCoy or Squirrel White. It's just there's not that guy that just scares you to death. And you look at the scenario that Oregon has, and there's 2 guys that are legit. I mean, big time. Tez Johnson and Evan Stewart. And coupled that with a few really solid pieces that are used situationally in the passing game, like Ferguson at tight end. So I do think Tennessee can create some issues, and I would expect, like we've seen what's been the what's been the plan for every defense that's played Tennessee so far this year? 3 down line, make your overhangs commit to the run, and get the safeties involved, and the safeties better tackle. And guess what? It's worked 3 weeks in a row.
Yep.
So I don't think that's a good matchup for Tennessee.
Okay. Is there a team that you feel like Ohio State would not want right out of the gate? When the teams in that area, I guess, in sort of that stratosphere, if we moved some of those seeds around just a little bit, who's the worst matchup for Ohio State?
I don't think Ohio State wants to play against Bama. Bama's a big play offense with a dynamic running threat at quarterback. I don't think Ohio State wants to play. I'm pulling up the rankings right now. Ohio State obviously will play
LSU. Was that a bad matchup for Ohio State?
Yeah, I could see that being a problem. If LSU can get healthy at receiver and Chris Hilton gets back and all those others get back, yeah, I could see that being a problem.
I think they could
matchup
offset their pass rush. I think LSU could.
For sure.
I
think Texas is a bad matchup for Ohio State. Obviously, that'd be the next round.
What do you think is important in defending Ohio State? Like, what did Oregon do? We can say what did Oregon do well, but I mean, it's
Oregon did a lot well.
So they did, and I mean, I thought some of the stunts they ran inside were great, but it's not like they completely shut that group down. I mean, they ran for 141, they threw for 326.
Yeah,
I think some of it was self-inflicted by Ohio State, but
no question,
Quinshon lost a fumble. Will Howard dropped a snap. There were, a couple flags that were untimely. So I didn't look at it as sort of a dominant performance by the Oregon defense. But what do you want against that group? Because they're going to give you the smoke and mirrors. They're going to create space. They're going to formation you. A disciplined linebacker, most important against them. You're going to have to tackle because you're going to get Travion and Quinshon. We know you're going to have some receivers that are going to be a problem. I think the quarterback's efficient. I don't think he's game changer. Is it getting to the quarterback? Is it winning up front? Because they did some of that. Oregon did some of that against this group, and I wasn't sure how much of it they could do. Now, once again, I've said this for a long time, and for some reason people won't really buy into it. It was more by design than it was by individual win or individual dominance. But that's the way I see it. And if it works, it works.
Yeah,
it worked in that game. But I just wonder, like when we said the LSU Ohio State matchup, like having a guy like Whit Weeks that you can kind of turn loose and be able to get to the backfield, disrupt some time,
and just blow things up.
Yeah.
I mean, just flat out blow stuff up. I mean, that's what he is. I mean, that guy is he will put his body on the line. I mean, that dude is like a kamikaze pilot coming in completely out of control and just blowing. He's like a wedge buster, but plays defense.
And you think about him in read plays and some of the mesh plays, like some of the pin pulls stuff. Like there's a lot of longer developing stuff Ohio State does. Like he would be super valuable in a matchup like that.
Yeah. I'll tell you another team that I think could give Ohio State some fits. And you're going to think I'm crazy. You ready?
I'm ready.
Clemson.
Up front, I think they could. Yeah, I don't like Clemson really moving the ball a whole lot on them.
I think it hits big plays, though. Clemson's kind of figured out what they are offensively. Like, I'm not like Phil Maffa's a bell cow, and he can get downhill. He's going to keep his shoulders square. He's going to run physical, 4 yards, cloud of dust, keep you honest type of guy. But if you sell out against the run, they have guys on the outside that can run past you. Now with the emergence of their freshman wideouts, and those guys are just going to get better and better and better. Like Wesco's a dude, TJ Moore's a dude. And they have some catch and run scatty guys that are slot players, but are a handful. Like Clemson is, if you're suspect in the secondary, I'm telling you, Clemson's going to be a team that you don't really want to see as the season goes along.
Well, the other part, Greg, they've only thrown one interception since the Georgia game combined. So they're not giving the ball away.
No.
They're not making those critical mistakes through the passing game, and that's huge. So Cade Klubnik might not end up being Trevor Lawrence, but if he takes care of the football with what you just mentioned, some playmakers around him, then you've got an opportunity to maybe go be. And we know the front seven can rip. That's going to be a problem for anybody that they play. So that I could see where that would be a very interesting matchup for that Ohio State football team. We'll keep that conversation going. Talk about it a little bit more on the other side. First, tell our listeners about B-Dry.
B-Dry has been serving the community for 60 years. And the beauty of it is that if they were out at your house and if they were fixing your basement or crawl space in 1971, the warranty, if that structure is still standing, is still intact. It's the strongest warranty in the business. It's the largest waterproofing in the country. There's a reason why it's the largest waterproofing company in the country, because they have a solution that stops all 5 ways that water can enter your foundation. Go and see them today. Really, the service that you'll get's phenomenal, and they can basically delay payments with no interest for 12 months. So you can get the job done and not have to pay $1 for a calendar year. So go and check them out. It's bdryalabama.com. You can also call them at 942-1976. Get the job done right with the strongest warranty and the best price at 942-1976, or visit bdryalabama.com.
We'll talk a couple more matchups also when we come back. The USA Today head coaching salary database has been released. How many head coaches do you think in college football right now make over $10 million a year? I'll give you the number when we come back next on Mac and Cube in the morning. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is 8:49, Wednesday, October 16th on Jocks 94.5. If you're looking for some entertainment for the kids, Greg, go hit the Halloween costume shop up there at
you got some
Summit.
you got some videos from it. Seemed pretty
You get a good
hardcore.
scare. You get kind of like a haunted house and look at costumes and, if you need some stuff. We needed a Donatello bow.
Who doesn't?
Bow staff
Of course.
to finish our costume. Wife's
turtle,
not happy with me about doing that.
I'm sure that won't be
She's
used.
like, why does he need the weapon? I was like, well, if he wants to be the Ninja Turtle, he kind of has to have
have
the
it.
weapon.
I'm
Otherwise,
sure
he's
that
just
will be used
the
in
tortoise
the,
and the hare.
I feel like that's a necessary weapon.
7-year-old already took it about twice.
Yeah.
So, yeah. While we were shooting basketball last night.
It happens.
Hey. Stay out of the way is what I told him.
Right. Just a common
It
foul.
happens.
Just a
But
foul.
there are some things in there, I will warn you, that are not meant for children to see. We're walking through one section, and I mean, it was like the little thing. They have the things that you put in your yard that now they're animatronic, they move or whatever. And so, like, they're scaring them, and it's funny to watch that. And we look at some other stuff, and they're just like looking at costumes. They love it. And then all of a sudden, my 7-year-old says, Dad, there's a baby eating a brain over there. And I'm like, we're leaving.
Standard.
Just,
It's just not that bad. I mean,
Check, please, if you don't mind. Ring up my bow staff. We're out. Didn't need that.
did they have a bow staff though?
We got
but
it.
is it a real one?
It's plastic.
No.
I mean, I don't.
Soft.
I did consider just going and getting a broomstick and like cutting the end off and like
Right.
putting some medical tape on there and then, like some shoe polish, like make it look. Probably should have done that actually, but
Yeah, but then he's got an actual one that
yeah, the plastic one at least offsets some of the strike when he hits his brother with it. So I'm gonna go to Jeff.
You can still injure people with plastic.
Absolutely, Jeff on Smith Lake. You are a pilot and you have information on NFL games overseas.
Absolutely, brother. I've been flying Europe since the 80s when I was in the Air Force, and trying to watch any kind of football or any kind of sport like that in Europe is quite challenging. I was over there, I guess, for the Super Bowl when Peyton Manning, when they really got waxed in that Super Bowl, and they do have a broadcast, and it's a broadcast where it's just the feed from the network, and they'll have like three pros that will during the commercials they'll talk about what happened in the game. So no commercials over there. It's just the raw feed that you'll get. But that's about the only game you'll get. I was over there for the Cody Bowl when Terrence Cody blocked that kick for Bama, and I'm watching it on the ESPN app, and of course it locked up, and I didn't find out what happened until many hours later. But
That's pretty hardcore in 09 to be able to watch that. I mean, that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
Did we even have iPads back then?
Oh gosh, no. I was on a company desktop.
On
watching it.
a
So,
desktop. How about that?
Yeah. So I mean, I have gone around like Alabama Auburn games. I've been over there. With my seniority, I've always had to fly weekends. It seems like, but Alabama Auburn game. You go to a pub over there, and all they're showing is Dortmund versus Bayern Munich or some Premier League game. But the best one I've ever seen. Yeah. Yeah. Right. The best one I've ever seen was the rugby championship. You talk about a lot of fun going to a pub when that's going on. That's a lot of fun. But I mean, to get to the point, I don't know why would they pay $1 million or $1 billion for that, because there's just not a lot of demand for it over there that I've seen, unless you're just an expat over there just hanging out in the pubs. But I did talk one time. On Saturday. I did talk to the pub owner to let me be in control of the remote control, and I did actually find some SEC games in a pub one time. But yeah. But it's the big games. Yeah, they'll show the Super Bowls over there. But like I said, it's a raw feed with no commercials, and it's just some guys in the middle of the of the commercials that talk about the previous plays, just doing some color on the plays. But it's difficult to see college football and pro football over there. I did go to Tottenham last year. My cousin's son is the long snapper for the Bills, and we went to a Tottenham game. Of course, it's about 75% Bills fans over there. So
interesting.
A lot of fun, but yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you, Jeff, when we get flights delayed, what should be the announcement that comes with that we should actually be worried about? Because we get technical, we get mechanical, we get don't have a crew. Like, what's the one
don't
thing
have a pilot?
That I feel like that should be concerning. Is there one that when we
Cole,
hear a
you-
flight's delayed that we
you-
should say, you know what, I'll just drive. We're good.
You're really going to get me in trouble with my company, aren't you?
Okay, you don't have to answer.
You didn't tell us what company. So
No.
I think you work for Spirit or United or.
Oh, he's a Frontier.
Stop.
Oh, he's definitely a Frontier guy.
Or
Yeah.
Aer Lingus.
Alaskan Air.
Aer Lingus.
Now, probably the biggest thing is when the only thing we can't deal with is ice. If there's an ice storm coming, you might as well rent a car or get an Uber.
I always love driving on ice, so it's good to know that the plane is incapable of dealing with it.
Yeah.
Jeff,
I mean, the airplanes I fly, we can pretty much handle about anything except for that. And that, you can't, our regulations won't allow us to fly and that kind of stuff to keep everybody safe. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Jeff, great stuff, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for helping us out today.
All right,
Appreciate it. So that's a couple people that have said they don't feel like the appetite is there for regular NFL broadcasts overseas. I have no idea. I don't. We'll see. Would you think the Bills would be the most popular team?
Yeah, they're the lovable losers. They're like the Chicago Cubs. I mean,
Or is it more because of Bills Mafia?
Yeah, they get rowdy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But just by team and history, I wouldn't have thought that the Bills.
well,
would
you
have
know, it's
been-
not going to be the Patriots. They're
don't
certainly
say.
not going to be very popular in England.
It's not the go-to.
No.
I thought like Bears or Saints.
Saints.
No,
Because of like French,
Speaking
When
of
they
the
come
French
marching in?
connection. Ah.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. It is 9 o'clock, hour number 3 underway. Some college football news and notes that I want to get to. Some injuries, some movement, player movement potentially that we need to talk about. Also, I want to talk to you about my friends at Royal Automotive. They want to get you tailgate ready. I want to help you experience how car buying should be. 4 Royal-owned dealerships in one location. Selection, savings, unmatched. Royal, only place to find over 19 unique truck and SUV options in one spot. Now through October 31st, get up to $14,000 off select 2024 GMC Sierra models. 0% for 60 months is back on 2024 Volkswagen Tiguan models. Sign and drive select 2024, 2025 Volvo XC40, XC60, XC90 models. 0 down, 0 due at signing, 0 for your first payment. Certain restrictions apply. Go see my friends at Royal. They'll help you get the best deal available. Royal Buick GMC, Royal Volkswagen, Royal Automart, Volvo Cars of Vestavia Hills, all at the corner of I-65 and Highway 31 of Vestavia, and online at royalautomotive.net. Make Royal your first and last stop when car shopping. Remember, for every ride, there's Royal. Vikings, how would that not be the most popular team overseas?
Oh, yeah.
In Scandinavia, for sure.
That was right there.
I mean, just thinking about teams that may be popular over there.
I don't know. We get mad about people like transferring. Do they get mad at like people leaving Europe?
I don't know. Maybe.
Like Vikings left Europe. They be mad about it?
To conquer, not to, they got tired of it.
Did they come back?
So did Pirates. Maybe they like the Bucks.
Ooh, there you go.
That could be another one. All right, a couple of notes around college football. Notre Dame cornerback Benjamin Morrison going to be out for the year with a hip injury. Ole Miss defensive back Key Lawrence is going to take his red shirt, Greg. He will be removed from the roster. Not going to play anymore this year. He quit.
Yeah, well, he wasn't good.
This will be his fourth school?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, they brought him in expecting him to be good, and he wasn't good. So that's the way it goes.
Colorado State wide receiver Torrey Horton has a knee injury. He's going to be out for the year. That's a big loss for the Rams. Utah quarterback Cam Rising, this injury conundrum continues, and now there is some discussion of a potential 8th year.
8th?
That might be available to Cam Rising.
He can get it if he wants it.
Oh, boy.
Well, he needs a waiver, but.
Well, he's only played how many games this year? 2?
2 over the last 3 years, maybe. It feels like.
But if he's only played a couple games this year, I think he probably would be eligible. That'd be like a technical redshirt year. Like you can play up to 4, I think. Or if you play more than 4, then you can't get your medical.
But he had a medical last year.
But you can get more. You can get as many medicals as you need.
Yeah.
He only missed 1 game last year. Missed 1 game in 21. That feels like a lot more. Played in 1 game in 20. So, I mean, at some point you got to play. But
at some point, like they're just going to have to move on. Like I know that it sounds bad, but there is the best ability is availability. And if you're unavailable, I can't keep wondering, are you going to be able to go? Are you not going to be able to go? Is like last year, I mean, I don't know the circumstances of his knee injury, but I know that last year he was medically cleared, I believe, like relatively early.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the deal is. Like at some point I'd probably say,
but he wasn't cleared by his guy, which was the problem, allegedly. There was the team doctor and then his doctor, and that's where some of the agents are starting to mess some things up because, well, my guy says I shouldn't play. Team doctor says you're good. My guy says don't play. And then here comes the back and forth of what we should do, shouldn't do, protect yourself, go play, be a good teammate, whatever. That's where all that starts to get mixed in. Boston College cornerback Amari Jackson's got an ACL. He'll miss the rest of the season. Colorado DB wide receiver Travis Hunter, Coach Prime saying he'll be available for Arizona this week, so that's good news. Went out in the game last week. Smile Munden, questionable for Georgia with a foot injury. Greg, he's missed some time, but I know that's one that they'd like to get back for this game specifically.
Yeah, it'd be big. And I do think that they miss him. I think Smile Munden is a really good communicator. I think they're very, very good with their personnel when he's on the field. But I think that his communication and veteran presence is very beneficial.
Okay. Also, USC linebacker Eric Gentry is going to take a red shirt. He'll miss the rest of the season. Now, he's had a couple of issues with concussions, so I don't know if this is necessarily just I don't want to play anymore this year, but they're not going to have him the rest of the season.
Big loss, by the way.
Their production up front has just not been great at all. Not that we thought it was going to be amazing, but it hasn't been very good. I wanted to go back to a late news dump on Friday that we have not addressed on the show yet this week. Ole Miss football releases a statement on Friday, like publicly sends this out that reads, feigned injuries has become a notable topic in college football, and we realize our program has been part of that discussion. We've been in communication with the National Coordinator of Football Officiating and provided relevant medical information for his review to answer questions about recent injuries. We have also updated the SEC office, and our head coach will communicate with our coaches and players to ensure we conduct ourselves properly and are compliant in this matter. One, Greg, why do you put this out? Other than the appearance of it, surface level is guilty conscious. That's the first thing I think 90% of us thought when we saw it. Like, you're trying to get ahead of the negativity, which you're already behind on.
We asked him about it in their coaches meeting.
This came out before you met with them?
No.
Or you just asked about the injury?
We asked him about, we had documentation. Hey, there have been 29 injury stoppages in the last 3 weeks. Do you have anything you'd like to say about it? Several of which have come back in a play or two. Do you have anything you'd like to add on to that? We asked Lane about it, and I'm sure that they got wind that we were going to hit them and hit them hard on the broadcast if they were caught feigning injuries, and we tried a couple times. And it's a thing. It's a known thing. You can look at their sideline, and if you look closely enough, you can pick up the signal that basically tells a player to go down. So, yeah, it's a thing. And it's really, really unethical. And Game Day was going to do a piece on it too. I don't know if they ended up doing it or not. I didn't get to watch Game Day. We were in the middle of our production meeting. We had it on for a second, so I didn't get to watch it for an extended period. But I don't know if Game Day ran it or not, but they had something on it. And it's going to continue to be a thing. So they need to do the right thing and stop doing it. And they can say, well, people do it to us. Okay, fine. Like, and I don't disagree. Like Lane, I think his whole approach to it is, hey, until they put in a rule, we're going to try to utilize it to our benefit.
Right.
Which, guess what, is fair.
Not against the rules.
It's not against the rules, and it's a tough thing to police. But guess what? You catch it after the fact, and the SEC should fine them. I mean, simple as that. Just fine them.
Is that not a very dangerous territory to, because you don't have to get one of those wrong, right? Where you're going to find someone and, well, oh, we have documentation that this guy's hamstring was torn. Here's the MRI. With HIPAA, I don't even know how you get that far. And that also begins to cloud this just a little bit more.
I don't think so. I think people that know football can pick it out. You can sniff it out. It's not hard.
I'm not going to argue with you on that. I'm taking a little bit more of a technical Tammy approach here, in that when you start going down this path and people can provide some documentation, or you want documentation, and then HIPAA's going to get involved, and that back and forth could prevent this from being.
Why isn't HIPAA involved in the medical report that they have availability report they're putting out every week?
That doesn't tell you what is wrong with anybody. That's not saying, Greg McElroy has a broken ankle.
Well, cool. I'll get a third-party doctor to come in and tell me how many guys are getting cramps in 70-degree weather in week 7. That's what I'll get it. Give me a nutritionist and or a doctor, and you tell me.
Dietitian.
A dietitian or a hydration expert. I don't know what the heck they have nowadays.
Hydrationist.
You tell me. I want to know. Because as somebody, and by the way, another thing too, the other thing that is, I think, somewhat ridiculous, why is it always a defensive lineman? Did the defensive lineman run 70 yards downfield and cover a deep post?
Well, it was a tailback 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, that one was egregious. We were on the call for that one too. Like, how often are linemen getting cramps? Guess what? Last time I checked, like, if you have a soft tissue injury, it's probably because you ran at full speed, like 40, 50, 60 yards. How many hamstring injuries did you have in your career, Cole?
The only one that I had was when we did winter workouts on the track at 5:30 in the morning.
That's what got you. They got him.
Like, I don't.
Gave me a little extra speed.
Look, I'm not a doctor. Okay, I'm not trying to say I know I am one, but like, I know from having played football, like before faking injuries was a thing, I don't remember a lot of our defensive linemen with quad injuries.
You're right.
Guess who had them? Receivers and corners. Like, it just didn't happen very often.
It's like you said, we all know it. It's just when you continue down the path and have to prove it or have to present documentation or it's a problem asking for documentation, that's where the gray area begins to step in. I think from a common sense perspective, we would all like to see it go away. We all think it's bogus. We all think it's cheap. Is it against the rules? Not right now, no. But you start talking about the game of football and what goes into it and respecting it, things of that nature, it feels wrong. It just does.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I have their signal. So if I were them, I would strongly consider changing their signal because the next time I'm on a broadcast, we are going to have a camera on your sideline. And if we catch said signaler giving the guy the signal to go down, it's going on the air. I saw it with my own two eyes this past weekend when number 51 for Ole Miss's defense goes down. I saw the signaler signal to that player and point to that player to go down, and they did. I just can't prove it because we did not have a camera on it. But we will next time. I can promise you that.
Connor Stallion's on line 1.
Wow, okay.
Man.
It's not a hard signal to figure out.
They have Oklahoma next on the 26th. That'll be a morning kick in Oxford. Network.
Hope it's not too hot. Could be a lot of cramps.
Network not confirmed just yet.
How many cramps do you have in week 7?
Not many.
Or week 8?
I didn't cramp up in a game ever.
Well, cramps are a thing. Cramps are absolutely a thing in September.
But
that's a real thing.
I'm trying to think of offensive linemen that we had cramping up in games. I don't recall a bunch of us going down with that. Now, ankle rolls, knee roll,
Right.
I mean, that's, you get a finger in between face masks or something like that. But like, I don't remember a lot of guys grabbing the hamstring. Stretch it out for me. Now, receivers, DBs, running
100%.
backs.
The soft ones, yeah.
100%.
The ones that are
running.
Yeah.
covering ground. I mean, we only ran so many screens a game.
You got a better chance. You got a better chance as a defensive lineman selling me on a dislocated finger than you do on a cramp.
But you should go down for it. Help. It's just so whack. It really is.
It's so ridiculous. I really, really want the SEC to do something.
I
really
want
do.
a player to step up and say no. I want to look over and a player be like, no, I'm not going down. And you know what he's doing. He's like, no, tell me the defense so I can get lined up. I'm not falling down when I'm not hurt. That's what I want, is a kid that'll step up and say, that's not me, man. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to fall down and act like I'm hurt. It's football.
Like when Charlie Conway and Mighty Ducks said he's not going to cheat.
I told you I've never seen that movie.
Ugh.
I got you, Greg.
But honestly, I think it would be nice for the player to do that, but there is a changing mindset, and I think it's fair. Now, so if I'm going to be devil's advocate, I just told you all the things I feel about this. If I'm going to play devil's advocate for a moment, just being honest, the mindset that we had as players were, I don't care if my leg is broken, I'm walking off on my own power, or I'm staying in the game. I dislocated my thumb in the NFL. And it was hanging sideways. My throwing hand thumb hit it against Matt Kroll's helmet, against the Eagles. My hand is literally, my thumb is laying across my hand. And I pop it back into place and didn't miss a snap. Now, on the next play, I tried to hand it off and it was out again. I was like, all right, this ain't good.
This is a problem.
This is not good.
Did what I could.
Yeah. All right. 3rd down. I don't know if I can throw it, guys. Let me call timeout and I'll go to the sideline. But like, we were trained. I don't care what you do. If you have to play on one leg, you stay in the game because it is soft if you go off the field and or show pain on the field. So I do think that's changed because if you are not playing it, you're not at 100%. You can't give 100% because your calf hurts, your ankle hurts, your wrist hurts, whatever. You are playing at a disadvantage. That means you're playing with 10 and a half guys as opposed to 11. So I do think there is an adjustment in the way we think as it relates to injuries in football, which is fair. Just being devil's advocate for a moment.
Yeah. So then the question is, how do we make it go away? The easy solution seems to be said player out for that series. I know you have to track that, and that's a lot.
Let me tell you how you
make
do
the
it.
penalty for the kid coming back in severe.
How about this? If we catch you doing it, the next time your team's on offense, you start with a delay of game penalty, and you're 1st and 15.
Do you think that can be diagnosed that quickly?
Yeah. Guy goes down. Let me take a peek real quick.
I'm just warning you, man. You've got to be really careful with that because when you miss one, Thomas Mars might be knocking on the door.
Miss one? When a guy gets
when you
actually
penalize
hurt?
Someone for faking an injury and their MCL's torn, or they have a torn labrum, or they actually, I don't know how you can.
What are they gonna do?
What
are they gonna do? Sue the video official for penalizing us 5 yards?
Maybe. Or the league.
What's 5 yards worth? Is it going to be a civil lawsuit?
Sue the league for costing you game time that hurt your ability to earn in NIL.
Well, don't give me.
Unfortunately, that's about where we are. Is my point in that. I don't like any of it.
I think that's a pretty easy fix.
And this is, by the way, we're not far away from as much player movement as we have. Somebody going somewhere else and just fully letting everybody know what was happening at another place. That's coming soon. Don't worry. They'll end up on one of these podcasts somewhere and they'll say, oh, no, this was our signal. This is when we did it. In the whatever game, we did it 22 times. And that's why we won that game. You'll hear that soon. Don't worry. It's coming. You're not going to be able to hide it forever. You're not. And so we'll see. I would love for there to be an easy way for it to go away. It doesn't feel like there is. I feel like there could be, but then I also feel like there should be some extra problems that follow that. You disagree?
I guess I just don't know what's stopping from it now.
But I think where you're going is you want to make it a judgment call like you do pass interference. And that you can't do that, Greg.
Why? That's what I don't understand.
You're going to get sued.
Sued for what?
For somebody who's actually injured.
Okay, but
when you miss one.
But it's fine. And there's plenty of times in which things are called and not called. And there are times when it gets missed. There's times when it doesn't get missed. But there's times when it's pretty dang obvious.
But this is not something that's a guideline of rules of the game and how it's supposed to be played. This is an interpretation of someone's mindset and what they were attempting to accomplish by faking or not faking something. I don't want to take this side right now. I don't like that I'm taking this side. I'm just trying to help you explain where the other side of this is and probably where they're going to go with it. And they're not going to let you do that.
What are the damages? Like in order to sue somebody, sue somebody, there has to be damages. And I'm sorry.
Okay. Hold on. The whole NIL world is fake right now, right? So that's what they're going to come at you for. They're going to come at you for, I missed game time. You cost me the ability to earn. We don't know what these kids are really making. How did he miss game
time? What game time did he miss? He faked an injury. His offense got a 5-yard penalty.
Yeah, you put me behind the sticks, and therefore I had less chances to be able to go.
Basically, what you're trying to say is that I can, as a defensive back, I can sue the referee for calling pass interference.
That might be coming.
Well, basically, it's like you impacted my ability to earn. Yeah, fine. Well, don't have pass interference.
Get in phase, buddy.
And it's a judgment call. Like, hey, you just say it's a judgment call, and it looked to me like it was not a real injury. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get them all. I'm saying you might be able to get some.
Maybe you're right and I'm wrong. And we can't go. John, where are you on this? Between the two sides right here, right now.
Honestly, like 51 Cole, 49 Greg.
Damian?
I'm leaning more towards Greg. I don't think that, because it's one thing if you're getting a call from the sideline, then all of a sudden you just fall like that. We see this, we see this happening.
I agree.
So I mean, you can't really, like, you would know if you have. I'm pretty sure if you tear a ligament or something, like, you're gonna stay down. But like if it's, we're stopping in between plays and you look over to the sideline and he's giving you the signal to fall down and you just fall, then yeah, like there should be punishment.
I agree that there should be. I just think it's dangerous to take someone who is either watching a monitor or on the field to make that judgment that quickly right then and right there.
I don't know, man. We review everything.
If you can watch a monitor, why can't they? Like, you can figure things out. If you can diagnose a GT counter on the sideline, why the heck can't we assess whether or not a guy is legitimately injured. I mean, these guys are flopping like there's no tomorrow.
I'm with you, and I want that. I'm just trying to present the other side.
I understand the other side.
The underbelly of a lot of what we have already screwed up in college football. That is, people are going to, the take advantagers of are going to try to take advantage of this and you trying to do this. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't think it's as difficult as you're making it out to be. And I'm not saying you catch them all. Like I said, it's not like every single guy that goes down is 5-yard penalty. It's not. I'm just saying
the egregious ones will be penalized. Make it a 10-yard penalty. I don't care. All right, a couple of you calling in, chiming in. You can text in 205-834-9450, tweet in at Mac and Cube. We'll get your response, your thoughts on some of the injuries being faked or not faked, or what could be done about it next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. The Yankees take out the Indians last night 6-3. Judge hits a home run, breaks a 9-game postseason streak without one. 3 runs driven in, 14th postseason home run, 5th all-time in Yankees history. 19th time the Yanks have gone up 2-0 in a 7-game series. They won 15 of the previous 18. That's the most they've been up 2-0 in a 7-game series of any other Major League franchise. Next in line would be
Dodgers.
The Braves with 9.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
First time they've been up 2-0 since 2009. Tonight, 7:08, on FS1, you get Dodgers at Mets. That series tied at 1. Feeling good?
Yeah, I feel all right.
Okay.
I'm just still worried about our starting pitching, and Walker Buehler tonight needs to have a nice game.
We will see if that happens. Discuss it tomorrow. You're going to have to. We asked you about the faking injuries, and the phones have lit up. I mean, the response coming in. We'll get to it. You have to wait for that. But one thing you never have to wait for, Greg, is your dental care.
That's because Family Care Dental has you taken care of. They're the urgent care office where you can be seen the same day. They will accept patients of all ages, and they accept most insurance plans. So go and check out Family Care Dental. They have added a new office in Trussville. That's right, in Trussville, to go with their 4 existing offices. So if you're in Trussville and you need to get in for a routine dental appointment, go and check them out today. And then, of course, as always, they're in Hoover, Homewood, Alabaster, and Fultondale. So call Family Care Dental today, 874-9605. That's 874-9605.
All right, CJ wants to talk faking injuries in college football. Welcome in, CJ.
Hey, guys, how you doing?
Doing great, thanks.
Yes, sir. So, yeah, I played football at Sanford, so defense linebacker, so I definitely understand defense getting tired. You're in the wrong personnel. But it's a simple fix, guys. Listen, if somebody goes down with an injury, they cannot sub back in the entire series. So if they're faking the injury, they got to wait till the next series to get in. I'll hang up and listen.
Okay. I think that's one of the easier solutions.
Well, the only issue with that, and that they push back on that one, is who's going to police it and watch it?
Sue them.
That's a hard thing. I mean, like, these officials have enough going on. Like, I got to watch for guys going back on the field. Like, that's another layer. And then 2, your quarterback. Your quarterback, goes down with a little cut on his hand, has to go out because it's bleeding everywhere.
That's different. We're talking about going down and stopping the game.
Well, that could stop the game.
All right. Well, you're out for a series then.
Well, I'm just saying, some people say that's the quarterback being out is pretty significant.
Sorry, we're not holding off on the rules for the quarterbacks. Larry,
well, that's the pushback.
Welcome in, Larry.
Guys, enjoy the show always. I just want to make a comment to both of you gentlemen. I'm on the road every day. I listen to y'all show every day, and y'all bring it, man. Y'all bring so much insight to college. And well, now y'all don't discuss the pros that much, but I sure do appreciate it. But, one thing about pinions are like air. They're everywhere. But, guys, when guys are literally cheating and falling down and acting like they're hurt, they've got to do something about it. And I'm sure, I don't know what they'll put into the rules, so to speak, if it's the next year or so or whatever. But, you see it more and more all the time, especially with these fast offenses that are, moving the ball quicker. You see it, I don't know. You just see it happen more often. But just wanted to throw that in there, guys. Thanks a lot.
No, appreciate the call. It's good stuff. Jay in Columbus wants to talk faking injuries. Welcome in, Jay.
Hey, good morning, guys. What are you doing in Roll Tide?
Roll Tide.
I remember when I was a kid, Jack Youngblood played in the AFC Championship game on a broke leg.
Yep.
Think about that.
Leg. And we seeing kids flopping because they got maybe a cramp here or there. Nah, they flopping because they want to stop the game. McElroy, there's a way you can police that. What you do is you hire someone, i.e. Someone who is medically trained. They ain't got to be a doctor, but a LPN or something like that. And their sole job is to see what said person got hurt in what said series. What was the cause of the injury? Some injuries could be serious. Hey, he really did have a cramp or this, that, or another. Others, they just flopping. Now, it's easier to legislate flopping in basketball because it's a close-up game. Kind of a little bit harder to do it in football unless you add that extra layer of refereeing in the game. I hang up and listen to y'all.
You did bring up an interesting point, Jay, and Greg kind of mentioned it with just the observation of it, the amount of eyeballs on it. We don't have enough officials as it is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And to add that, which is a lot, and especially I think when it happens, you're trying to get the ball set. You're trying to go get back and get set up in your position to where you're going to watch what's going to happen on the next play. It's asking a lot because, as we've told you before, their eyes are trained on certain spots. So side judge is going to go left tackle, running back, quarterback, and then ball if it comes out. And then if it's a run to his side, he obviously has to watch that. So it's your eyes are not necessarily trained to be on the 3 technique or the linebacker or the opposite defensive end on the other side of the field. And so if they go down, did you see exactly how it went? That's tough, man. That's a big ask for some of those guys.
I think it's a huge ask. And I just don't know. The easiest way to clean this thing up is just to drop the hammer on these teams after the fact. Like, it's unethical. We know that. And I just think that we're making it way too complicated. Like, just find the heck out of them. We've figured out how to handle it when people rush the field. Like, you fine them and you give money to the other team. Like, when LSU rushed the field this week, they have to give $100,000 to cut a check to Ole Miss. Straight to Ole Miss.
Yep.
Same thing here.
D tackle goes down, give other team a D tackle.
Same size, speed, and star ranking.
Same comp.
Yes. Same exact players. Just cut a check. I mean, it's unethical, and I think you make the head coach cut a check. I don't know what you do. How about head coach has to cut a check to the opponent's NIL?
Yeah, and then the next year in coach's contract, when it was renewed, any fine coming my way comes from institution, not my personal checking account. Get ready for that one to be put into a couple deals. Greg in Russellville, welcome in, Greg.
Hey, man. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, I just wanted to I agree with the guy that called earlier. I think sometimes it's going to be, like you was talking about the quarterback, but I think they should go out for the whole possession of that whole series. And if they try to go back into the game and get caught before they're supposed to, they got to sit out the next game.
I'm with you on that one. And when they come back in, you can get that after the fact, Greg. You don't have to catch that in game, and that can be one that you retroactively punish whether you miss the first half of the next game or don't even play in the next game.
Yeah.
So I know we hate guys missing time for targeting. I do too. But remember, that's the most valuable thing that these players have is playing time. You start taking it away, you're going to minimize some of these things that are happening. And I know we're scared to take that away other than targeting. But that's what you got to hit them where it counts. Like you said, pocketbook, 1, 2, playing time. Get rid of it. All right. Good discussion around the injuries. Didn't think as many people. We got texts coming in on that?
Yeah. A lot of people were saying, we got Fulton, he texted in. I think the way to do it is no matter whether the injury is real or fake, they have to sit out a series. Somebody asked Greg, if you cut your hand, would you go out or would you go out the game or suck it up and keep playing?
You don't have a choice sometimes. Like, you get blood on your jersey, you're out. Like, it stinks. I had to go out a couple times because I had blood on my chin and, blood on the jersey, and they like spray it or whatever, and it's all done. It's all better. I mean, they probably spray it with bleach, which is great to have on your sweaty body, but I don't know what they put on you. But
calm down. It's just bleach.
I know. I'd prefer to just drink it, but instead of have it spray on me. But
somebody texted in reference to players faking injuries to get a timeout. The NHL has a penalty for establishment, which happens when a player makes something looks worse than it really is, like
embellishment.
And
Cole should know that. He's a big hockey guy.
What did you say first? Establishment?
The establishment, like he's Homie the Clown.
That.
Okay, all right.
So it seems like there could definitely be a consequence for faking injury without being sued, especially if they put in that the rule book it's flag offensive.
I don't think it's the getting sued over faking an injury. It's the getting sued over you accusing someone for faking an injury and then they're actually injured. That's where your problem's going to come in. Garnet Spur tweets in, don't find them. If they're hurt, pull them out of the game for the rest of the series. If they get hurt again, now we're worried about their health, so pull them for the half. They'll stop dropping real quick if they're losing game time.
Who's policing that?
You just said a second ago.
The back judge?
You can read a GT counter. Why can't you watch a monitor? Well, I mean, have the replay.
We'll make the umpire. All right, so now that's the next layer of what we're making the officials do.
Do it for the next game. But I agree right there with what Garnet Spur is saying. You spin this into, we care about you. So if you fall down right before a snap one time, now you're on our radar. Next time it happens, we can't allow you to really be injured. we're going to protect the player, so you get to miss that. And we're also protecting the player by, in the appearance of an injury, you're going to sit that series out to make sure that you're medically cleared. Same as we got our guy up in the stands watching you for potentially being concussed. No different. Why does he have to miss the series? We're very concerned that he fell on the ground and couldn't walk.
Player safety.
That's it.
2 words.
I think you could spin it into that and go there. Back with more next. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Let's jump back into football, actual games. Talk about the game, some of the games. Quickly go back through, Greg, a couple that we did not hit from last weekend. I just want to get some thoughts out on these because we had not spent a lot of time on them. Florida, Tennessee being one. Just kind of what we saw, what we liked, what we didn't like, what we're concerned about. 23-17, Tennessee gets the win. More operational issues for Florida. That's not good. Can't have that. I can't excuse it. Special teams, red zone play calling, head scratching. Just, you got a running back that is running like a bull in Spain, trying to spear people's rear ends, just trucking folks. And then you start going jet sweeps inside the 20. I can't help anybody with that. Not just Montreal, but Jaden Ball. And I haven't seen a health update on Montreal. I hope he's okay because I just love watching him play football. How concerned are you with Tennessee's offense, though? Because there are folks that say it's been figured out or it doesn't work or Josh can't really call plays. Where are you on the Tennessee offense based on what you've seen the last few weeks?
I think they've had a lot of really close calls. I mean, a couple of close throws. But I'll say this, like Nico's got to be better with his eyes. I mean, that's something that would be concerning for me as a head coach. And if you look at how many times, I mean, goodness gracious, I think in the last 3 games when things started to go a little off the rails, I mean, at least 15 examples in which his head is just in swivel mode. I mean, from the left to the right to the left. I mean, like when your eyes are going sideline to sideline and you're in scan mode, like that means you don't know where you're supposed to go. You're just guessing.
But why do you think someone would go back and forth instead of like, because we see guys kind of lock in, but I would think to go from like read 1 to 5, 2 to 4, 3 to 2, like that just,
one, he doesn't get off his number 1 very often. And 2, I mean, like you can literally look at him in the pocket. Like he'll start left and then he'll look to the right and then he'll go back to the left. And it's like, you can see his helmet like this. I mean, and that to me as a coach is like, whoa.
That's kind of scary.
Very scary. It's like, all right, hang on. You got to know where to go. Like based on where they're lined up, you pick a side. And like occasionally, rare occasion, there's a sprinkler read. Like you think about a sprinkler, like, okay, where you go from right to the left, like, or from left to right. Like in occasional circumstances, there's a sprinkler read where you'll read all the way across the field. Not in Josh's offense. Like Heupel's offense is pretty dang simple. You got a ton of in-breaking routes. You got the occasional circus flat. Like it's not a whole lot. It's about as easy as it gets. So to see his head going back and forth all the time is really concerning. So
am I remembering this correctly? Does he have some refusal on checkdowns a lot of times? Like he just kind of doesn't want to get there.
There aren't a lot of checkdowns in the offense.
There are some to the back, I feel like at times.
Not often though, because the back's usually a max protect. So like his thing is kind of like 1 to run. Doesn't mean that can't be effective. I think he's a very good runner. Really good. And has way more wiggle than you would expect for a guy that's 6'6", right? I think he's a great runner, actually. But I do think he is seeing a lot of ghosts right now, and he's really uncertain when he's pulling the trigger.
Okay. Against this Alabama defense, secondary has had some communication issues, regardless of what a lot of folks are saying about, coverage and what coverage you should be in. Will the lack of the pattern matching that had been in place actually benefit this secondary this time around?
I would think. I think the pattern matching is complex, and when playing against a team that can work with a lot of tempo, it can be difficult. I think zone against this group is a better approach. You look at how every team has defended them the last 3 weeks. You have overhang defenders. Overhang defenders are guys that are just slightly outside the structure. So you have, I'd be shocked if Bama doesn't run a 3-down defensive line. That's what everybody's doing to them.
Yep.
They have linebackers that are tilted in one direction or the other, but it's really the corners, the nickels, and the safeties. Those are the overhang guys, the guys that are outside, that play outside the tackle box. Those are the guys, it's their game. Like you could make the case that the most important player in this game is Keon Sabb. Like you could make the case that Devontae Smith is the most important player of the game. Because those are the guys that are unblocked in this scheme. And it's based on getting your running back on unblocked players. And he makes a miss. And Sampson's really good at that. So I think that's huge. Those guys are going to have to be really good from a tackling standpoint. And I also think that I think they got to create some pressures up front, because I think the tackles are about as average as the day is long. So if you don't create pressures, that's going to become a challenge as well.
I also think another really important spot in this game for Alabama is going to be inside. If that's, say, Tim Keenum, I don't know if Tim Smith will go all the way in and play some nose. Damon Payne maybe playing some nose, because that's the spot when you go back and watch some of the Arkansas game. Now, Travis didn't focus as much on that particular player being as important, But what Florida did last year and Florida did a little bit this year with Cam Jackson, that has allowed those teams to win with fewer numbers against the run. And listen, Dylan Sampson still got his against Arkansas. So you could say what you want about playing with fewer numbers. Like he busted a couple big runs. It just wasn't as consistent. Greg, they've had 12 3-and-outs the last 2 games. You make Tennessee live with some 3-and-outs, say goodbye to tempo. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to talk about faking injuries at that point. It's not even a thing that you're going to have to be concerned about. The rhythm of the offense is essentially going to be gone. I mean, you're starting over a lot. That doesn't allow a quarterback, especially like what you're talking about, whose eyes might be playing tricks on them, getting going and being able to do some different things. So I think that if they play a lot of 3 down, whoever that nose guard is in the game, I think it's big for Alabama because that keeps the linebackers clean to be able to move and run. And then with everything Tennessee does with the tight ends, the inserts, the arcs, a lot of stuff like the split zone, you'll get that. Those linebackers, their eyes have not been strong this year. Have to be better in this game.
And you're going to get shovel pass. Like to that tight end with that overhang.
I think you'll probably get that in every team the rest of the year.
Well, you're going to get that. Like that they already have the alignment where that's a part of what they do and they can marry that up with a bunch of different things. So I think the linebackers have to be great in this game. And you said it, the Arkansas game, number 5 for Arkansas. I don't know his name, whatever his name is. Big dude. He had a great game. It was really impactful there in the middle of the defense. Florida rotated a bunch of different guys. Ball. Yeah. And he had a nice game in that game. And I don't know what his stats look like, but it
doesn't matter. You're not going to have stats doing that. Like last year, Cam Jackson won that game single-handedly, and he might have had 2 tackles. But it's like he was the reason Florida won that game.
But I think those edge players, I like Bama's matchup there. I think that'll be interesting to see, how do they employ those guys? Because I think you take 20 and 22 and you put them at 4-eye defensive ends with Keenan or Tim Smith in the middle, like you got a nice recipe there.
Yeah. They can hold up. They can hold
down. They can hold it down for sure. I just think there's going to be more perimeter runs from Tennessee. Like if I were Tennessee, I would say I'd like to challenge this group on the perimeter a little bit more. I'd like to, I think they're young in the secondary. Like if I were Josh Heupel, I'd be looking at, they're young in the secondary. I'd go perimeter run game. I would challenge their overhang players. I'm going to give Nico plenty of opportunities to move the pocket. They went with more rollouts last week. So give him designed half field reads. And if it's not there, Nico, go. I think the plan for Tennessee is pretty simple. But I also think like Tennessee's execution level right now is just not very good.
Yeah.
And I know Bama, everyone's going to be all up in arms about how close that game became last weekend. But I actually think Bama played a nice defensive game.
I like your idea on the perimeter runs too for Tennessee. You get some counter going outside now. Those overhangs, maybe a puller, bust free. You make him kind of take on a tackle or a tight end outside. They're not going to want to do that. And that's something that could really end poorly for those folks. Never ends poorly when you call Gusty Goulas in the Gusty Goulas Group. They want to help you get into a new home. Go to GustyGoulasGroup.com right now. Button at the top of your page on your phone. Very little information. You find out what your home's worth right this second. Gusty Goulas served more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area, brokered by eXp Realty. Been recognized both nationally and locally as Greater Birmingham, Alabama's #1 team in homes sold since 2012. 830 5-star Google reviews. Call 205-542-1996 or go to GustyGoulasGroup.com today and start packing. Back with more next on Mac and Cube in the morning. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Get you our bad box score of the day here in just a moment. It is 9:52 a.m. Wednesday, October 16th.
Bill Smith Buick GMC is Alabama's largest GMC dealership, and they also are capable of offering the largest discounts and the best service. Thank you to all you amazing Alabamians for making them number one again. They have the used car supercenter as well, and nobody sells more GMCs than Bill Smith because of the deals that you'll find on the lot. Like a GMC Sierra 1500 SLT, $67,860 is the list price. You can get it for $13,500 off the list price, under $55,000. Deals like that keep it come back. That's why 75% of their business is repeat customers, because you have a better experience when you shop with Bill Smith. Take the short drive up to Coleman. You'll be glad you did. I-65, exit 310, Highway 31. Or you can shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
All right, bad box score of the day. The Harding.
Warrens.
They're the Eagles.
Hawks.
They're the Bison.
Mm.
They took on the Northwestern Oklahoma State University.
Texans.
Close.
Cowboys.
Bearcats.
Not close.
Wranglers.
Rangers.
Ooh.
To get to 6-0 on the season, 62-0, Harding got the win.
Wow, okay.
The statistics would be about what you would think. 28-4 in first downs, 418-24 rushing yard differential. Harding only needed 84 yards passing. By the way, they were 3 of 4 for those 84 yards, 2 of them touchdowns.
Oh.
That's pretty good.
It's a nice clip.
Cole Keelan, 2 of 3, 64 yards, 1 touchdown. Kyler Finney, 1 for 1, 20 yards, touchdown.
Attaboy.
Miller Andrew, 11 carries, 107. Christian Franklin, 7 for 87. Josh Strickland had 5. Jaden Bray had 3. Cole Keon, 3. Blake Dela Cruz, 7. Jimmy City, 3. Jalen Spicer, 2. Kyler Finney, 7. Chauncey Martin, 3. Josh Jones, Stone Steffield, and Jeff Abraham all had 1 carry.
So everyone ate.
So here we go.
It's called depth.
This is this game bad box score. I'm going to tell you why Harding's entire football season has been a bad box score. You ready for this?
Oh, boy.
Turn the music off. Points per game on the season. They outscore their opponents 61.0 to 2.17. First downs, 133 to 16 on the season.
Solid.
Rushing yards on the season, 2,849 to 497.
Yeah, it's almighty.
Quintuple up.
Rushing touchdowns, 37, allowed 0. They've allowed 1 touchdown on the year. It was through the air.
How mad do you think they are for that?
Third downs, they've converted 66%. They've allowed opponents to convert 17%. That's 13 for 75. Time of possession, they've had the ball over 3 hours and 38 minutes. Their opponents have had it for 2 hours and 21 minutes.
Sounds like Vandy.
They've punted 6 times this season. They're 6-0. Their opponents have punted 47 times. Harding football is a living, breathing bad box score of the year. Here are your scores. Southern Nazarene, 59-0. Oklahoma Baptist, 59-7. Arkansas Monticello, 63-3. Henderson State, 66-0. Southwestern Oklahoma, 57-3. And we just gave you 62-0 Northwestern Oklahoma. They play number 9 Ouachita. Is that correct?
Ouachita
Baptist.
Yeah, Ouachita.
This weekend. That's in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. So we'll keep you updated as Harding football may be our new adopted sons.
For all the right reasons.
We just done what's all done.
For every single right reason. Yes.
I love when you stumble onto a team that you like all of a sudden love, and now you check them every week.
They got to run like the triple option or something.
I do believe they run either triple option V or something along those lines. Yes.
Ground and pound, baby.
Yeah.
More pound than ground, but yeah.
Your individual passing stats for the year, Cole Keelan is 16 of 24. 493 yards, 8 touchdowns, by the way.
Hey.
Talk about efficiency.
Love that.
Goodness gracious. They have 6 running backs over 200 yards on the season, another 5 over 100 yards on the season. Harding football getting it done. We're back tomorrow. 3-Man Front is next.